Okay, I think there we go. So, welcome everybody. I am here and I'm joined today by Reality Steve. I don't think you need any introduction because everybody knows who you are. Um, I'd like to get a little bit of your background, but also most importantly, I'd like to talk about Laura Owens and this case, and obviously what happened to you recently, which I find very interesting. But tell me a little bit about you because you've been doing this for like over 20 years, right?
Yeah. Reality Steve started as a blog back in 2000. Well, it started out as an email and then it turned into a blog in like '04, I think. And then I started podcasting in 2016, where I would just do a weekly podcast. And then in July of 2022, I did a daily podcast for reality TV and pop culture. And then January of 2023, about 6 months later, I added a sports one 5 days a week just to appease my sports fix, because my background is sports talk radio.
Right.
It's all I ever wanted to be when I was in college. And then I got into the business and I'm like, I don't know if I want to make a career out of this.
Okay.
I didn't like the industry. A lot of politics involved.
Mhm.
Not politics, but like I saw the way the industry was going, which is you had to be a big name. They didn't want to, at least in the city that I wanted to work in. I started working in I'll admit, I got very selfish and I got very spoiled, because when I started working in radio, I started working in the number 2 market in LA.
Okay.
And I grew up in Southern California, and I was just like, well, I don't want to move to market 75 and have my own show because nobody will hear me. And I wasn't willing to pay my dues, which you hear a lot of people that are on TV now just work their way up. They work at a station and then they go to this station and market 30. And then now they're working in one of the top 10 cities and whatever. I just wasn't willing to do that. And I'm fine with it. I didn't really want to make sports talk radio my life. So
yeah, it's funny. You and I have sort of a similar story. I was on television in Chicago, and after that, they had let me go because there wasn't any space there left for me. And then they were like, you know what I think you should do is I think you should take everything that you've learned from here, go to somewhere like Kentucky, and then come back. And I'm like, yeah, no, you know what? I'm good. Like, I'm good.
What TV did you do in Chicago? Were you an anchor?
No, I was so it was like an what did they call them? Interstitial host. So I was like bumpers in between television shows, and I do like funny little quips or, you know, the thing that was coming up next. I was able to be on the morning show, but it was a weird thing. I won a contest and they put me on TV for like 2.5 years. It was a wild time to be alive.
Wow.
But yeah, it was just so funny because, you know, you're in Chicago, you're in one of the number 1 markets, and then they're like, yeah, you know, you might want to go build your portfolio in somewhere like, you know, somewhere a lot smaller. And I'm like, yeah, I'm all right.
I'm convinced I could have sent my demo tape out, because at the time when I started working in sports talk radio, I graduated on a Saturday, and on Monday I was working for the number 1 syndicated sports talk show in America. And they would put me on the air every once in a while, and people knew my name. I knew I could have gotten a show in Market 50 if I wanted to, but I just was like, I don't want to go to Boise, Idaho and do a show. No offense to Boise, Idaho. I didn't want to go there. I just wanted to be in LA, and I just wasn't. And I worked at the 2 all sports stations in LA. And then once I was done with those, I was just like, yeah, this isn't for me. Not to mention radio doesn't pay anything unless you are a lifer there, you know.
Right.
Ask Ron Owens how good radio pays. He does it well. I mean, Ron Owens made a shit ton of money in radio because he was on the air forever. I mean, he was a legend in San Francisco. It's funny now that I was, you know, once this Laura stuff became a part of my life. When I found out her dad was Ron Owens, I was like, you know, he wasn't sports talk radio, but when I heard his name and I was like, you know, and I heard KGO, San Francisco legend, I was like, you know, back in my radio days, I just remember that name being thrown around. I don't know in what capacity, but I was like, his name wasn't unfamiliar to me. So anybody that's doubting he was popular, no, he was a big deal in San Francisco back in the day.
I have to say, I think it's wild to be Ron Owens, and then now this is becoming your legacy. Like, that sucks.
And my question is, does he even realize it? I don't know how. Like, he's dealing with obviously some major health issues. He doesn't, I don't know. I don't get the impression that he clearly even understands. But then again, he's only getting one side of the story from his daughter. So he's just regurgitating whatever she tells him. And you know,
I don't see Ron Owens being online or being in Reddit, or I mean, I've seen a couple of things that he said that it's a smear campaign.
Yeah. And does he know? Like, I would love to ask, if I had one question to ask Ron Owens right now, I'd be like, Ron, do you know that your daughter sent out a video of you rubbing your other daughter Sarah's belly and claimed it was hers? Do you realize she did that? If she was actually pregnant, why wouldn't she have a video of you rubbing her belly, even if she cut her own head out? Do you know that you were rubbing her belly? Did she convince you were rubbing her belly?
Also, though, to send out a video of your dad in a hospital bed in that sort of vulnerable position, like, why?
Because she was trying so hard to convince us. And I've said this from the beginning. Like, Laura Owens did everything perfectly for someone who wasn't pregnant to try and convince a bunch of people that she was. She played it to a T. She's like, she did everything that you did around all the perimeter things and all these surface level things that she would do. Like, oh, here's my belly as me standing in the mirror. And here's my dad rubbing a belly, even though you can't see the face of the woman whose belly, you know, here's a sonogram, but it wasn't really linked to her. It's like, she did everything you would do. And I've said from the very beginning of this whole case, one of the easiest things in the world to do is prove that you're pregnant. And she just gives us all these things that on the fringe could be a pregnancy.
Right.
But it's just
I talked about this with my community. You know, I can prove that I was pregnant 10 years ago and 7 years ago faster than she can prove she was pregnant right now. Yeah. You know, it's so funny because I sit and I wonder, right, had she not dabbled into content creators like you or Dave Neal or the Reddit community, do you think that she would have just gotten away with this?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Like, I think that she could have taken Clayton kind of like she took Mike and Greg for as much as she did. I don't know how much of a fight Clayton would have put up on something like this if she didn't go public with it. And it's kind of hard to answer for sure, but I definitely don't think that I think Clayton would have given up at one point and just been like, whatever, I'll just accept this. I just want this woman out of my life. But if I have to, I really do think that.
What I have to know, what got you into the Bachelor Nation? Like, what started that?
Yeah, it started way back in the early 2000s with a show called Joe Millionaire.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, so that was like the first reality show. You got to put yourself back in the early 2000s. Reality shows were basically just like The Bachelor had been out, and I think very few reality shows were out there. It was just the advent of reality TV. But this was the first one where they were literally playing a trick on a bunch of women. They were convincing 20 women that they flew out to England that this Bachelor was going to be an heir to a $300 million fortune when he really made $20,000 a year. And Fox started running it. Obviously, I was a big sports fan, and Fox had just taken over the NFC package in the NFL. And I'm like, I got to watch this because they're running the previews for it. I'm like, are these women going to fall for this? Like, nowadays, nobody would blink twice at a show like this because we've seen every iteration of any reality TV show now. There's no new ideas out there. So it's like, but back in 2003, this was a huge, huge deal. So all I did was I watched the show and I was like, I got to share my thoughts with friends. So I would email it to 3 of my friends. I would just write a recap of it because it was about dating. We've all dated. It's very easy. And it was just easy to make fun of because you're just like, oh my God, these women are so stupid. I can't believe they're falling for this. And did you see this woman's dress? And oh my God, did you hear what she said? All this stuff. And I would just write a recap to 3 people and I would just email it out. And then as the weeks went on, I was writing more and more every weekly recap of this show. I was getting emails from people saying, can I be on your Joe Millionaire email list? And I was like, well, who are you? And they would tell me, well, this person sent it to me. And I didn't even know who that person was. So unbeknownst to me, these 3 people were sending it out to other people who were sending it out to other people. And it just became a thing to where I was like, okay, now I got to send out a multi-email every week to a bunch of people. And then once Joe Millionaire ended, people said, are you still going to keep writing? They liked my recaps. They thought they were funny. And I'm like, well, what's the next dating show that's going to be out there? And it happened to be the first season of The Bachelorette. They had aired 2 Bachelor seasons, but they were going to do a Bachelorette season with Trista, who was the woman who got dumped.
Trista. I remember my mom watching that. Yeah.
she got dumped she was the final 2 person in season 1 of The Bachelor. So they gave her the Bachelorette gig, and I'm like, all right, I'll watch this. And then from that season on, it just took off. I've basically done a recap in some written form or podcast form of basically every episode since then.
That's crazy. Did you and Dave Neal know each other before this whole thing happened?
Yes. Somebody turned me on to Dave when back in 2021, I was involved in a mini scandal. I was being canceled for something that I said. Okay. And Dave was doing videos. This was when Dave was doing strictly, I don't want to say it was strictly Bachelor videos, but a lot of his videos were just Bachelor related content. And someone sent me a video, said, "Hey, Steve," and I was getting it pretty bad. I mean, and what I did wasn't great either. And I've admitted to that. It was just something that I had said. And someone came, and I was getting killed, and people were calling me. I mean, I was getting called every name in the book, and it was bad for a few weeks there. And someone came to me and said, "Hey, Steve, this Dave Neal guy is one of the few people I see defending you online and saying like, hey, let's hear him out or whatever." And he had me on his show, and then we basically been friends ever since. And that was 2021. So yeah, and then he would come on my podcast. I would come on his. He obviously still comes on my podcast probably every 3 or 4 months or so. And then obviously, in 2023, when this story broke in the Sun, we contacted each other, and we were like, and this is before anything, just the basics of the Bachelor is being sued for impregnating a woman with twins, and look at the things that he's sending her. Man, if this is true, this is bad for him.
Yeah.
And then obviously we got to talking to Clayton, and we're just like, oh wait, this woman.
Oh, so you guys talked to Clayton behind the scenes?
I talked to him, I think 2 or 3 days after the Sun article came out, because I was like, man to man, tell me what happened here.
Yeah.
And if I thought he sounded sketchy or I thought he was a player, I would have just come back and reported like, yeah, I spoke to him. I don't really know what to believe. But from the second I talked to Clayton, it was about a 90-minute phone call. I said, I believe this guy. And the crazy thing is, ever since that conversation in September of 2023 to here we are in April of 2026, his story has stayed the same. He's never changed it, whereas Laura has changed hers, I think, 1,500 times by now. So
right. What was your first moment in this particular case where you were like, oh shit, like this is just diabolical?
It was, I mean, when the article came out, Dave and I were like, this is probably the biggest scandal to ever hit this show. And then Taylor Frankie Paul blew it out of the water with what's going on with her Bachelorette season and whatnot. But at the time in 2023, like nobody had ever been brought up on major charges like that, not even charges, but been involved in a scandal like this before. So we're talking behind the scenes, and we're just like, man, this is huge. And this is before we knew anything about Laura, her past, Mike Maricini, Greg Gillespie. We didn't know any of this yet. I had been getting stuff sent to me of that, and it came up, I think, in episode 7 or 8 of Love Trapped, of Mike Maricini's brother-in-law who went over to Ron Owens' house, and Ron told him, hey, my daughter has a tendency to exaggerate things and lie. Somebody had sent me a screenshot of a court document, and I was like, I kind of need the link to the whole thing because this could be sketchy. I don't know if this is real. And then I think Laura found out that I had seen that. And then she's like, so if you're just going to believe a bunch of random things sent to you, and I was like, okay, here we go. So I realized I was pretty in deep once Laura started contacting me.
What's it like when someone like that because I'm sure you've had a lot of people reach out to you that are pretty unhinged, right, over your career?
Nothing like that. Nothing like that where I've been told like from the very beginning, like just gaslighting me. Oh, did my camera go out?
Yeah.
That is so weird.
Technical difficulties.
Huh. You know what? I'm going to sign out and come back in. Can I do that?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll be here. I'll entertain the chat.
Yeah, let me do that.
All right. Hi, friends. It's just me. Hi. All right. Love your style. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I didn't know. Let's see. And work with the Bachelor. Oh, I remember him. Yeah. Let's see. What else? You guys knew how's Zaddy Matty? Zaddy Matty is good. He went home to take a nap. He's like, I'm exhausted from that. So there's that. Also do me a favor and I'll star them. If you guys want to give me your questions for Steve about the Laura Owens case, that's where I'm gonna go next because I know that's why we're all here, is to talk about that case and his involvement. Obviously, his video got taken down, so we'll talk about that. I also want to talk about like, different things. Dave bless him. Dave bless him. For those of you that don't know, hold on. He's back. There you are.
Yeah, I think it was Firefox versus Chrome.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think I was on Firefox before, and then I went to Chrome, and here I am, clear again. So
we were just because I said, over the course of your career, you've had to have people who were unhinged, and you said nothing like this.
Yeah, nothing like I just the amount of gaslighting she was doing in the emails to me, and just would never answer anything specifically, and just being so, oh no, Steve, I was pregnant, and if you don't want to believe me, then you're wrong, and I can tell you're obviously believing Clayton's story, and you're wrong about this. It's just it's like arguing with a wall. It doesn't matter what I said. If I wasn't agreeing with what she said, then I was in the wrong. And I was just like, I don't want to deal with someone like this, And
earlier today, I had my brother-in-law read text messages and emails from her to Clayton, and he's like, how many times does this guy have to say no? And I go, oh, it gets worse. Don't worry.
Yeah, there are so many. I mean, I read all of the emails last week, obviously before the video got taken down, but hey, that was every single thing she sent me or I sent her, and it was like a 5-month window, and I'm sitting there just going. At the time, obviously, I'm finding out more and more. Her injunction against harassment hearing, had come up during that, and then, her saying in December, yeah, the babies are no longer around. I'm dropping the case. And it's just like, what? That doesn't make any sense, Laura. Literally weeks ago, you said to a judge, "Can I stand up and show Clayton my pregnant belly?"
Oh my
God. It's like, what are you doing? And then obviously the sleuthers were able to get the clips of the video of her playing with her belly. Seemingly you've been pregnant, right?
Yes.
If you have a pregnant belly and you're exposing it,
it's not up here.
Even if it is up here, if you were to touch it and push it like this and push it, you wouldn't be able to push it up and down. It doesn't move up and down. Your belly doesn't move. It's just one giant oval. And she literally showed her belly in that video, and you can see the belly move up and down with her hands. It's like, again. And then the other thing is, and I don't think this is graphic at all, and I've never been with somebody who's been pregnant. I don't have any children, but I'm very well aware that when you get pregnant, your boobs do inflate. They do get bigger. It's almost impossible for them not to. And hers never did, whether she was at 16 weeks or 20 weeks or 24 weeks. I'm sorry, Laura. They never did.
It's not just your boobs, though. As a woman, let me tell you, my ankles, my feet, I had to get new shoes. Yeah. My face, I had 4 different chins. It's everywhere. It's not just that area, but it's funny that you say that, because all the women are like, those don't look like pregnant boobs.
At all. At all. And even, because I've just never been familiar with, I've never been, like I said, I don't have any children. I've never been with anybody who's pregnant. When I first saw the video of her in the mirror with the stomach, your initial instinct isn't to think, oh, this is a food belly, or I still don't know to this day what that was. I guess she was just pushing her belly out. I don't know. But when I saw it, I was like, oh crap, maybe she was, this was back in 2023. Because she sent that, I think it's September, early October. I'm like, oh, maybe she is pregnant. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you right now, my son was a monster. He kicked the walls out of this thing. So even now, I have a condition called diastasis. If you were to see me it would look like I'm 6 months pregnant. Like my stomach, some people's stomachs, I mean, not her, usually it's pretty flat, but I can imagine, like, you see people who are thin, and when they eat, they tend to get bloated until that food is digested. And that's been a lot of speculation, is that, maybe it's like a gluten intolerance, or she used to eat whole pizzas, or a lot of people say it was burritos, but I won't let the burritos take the blame. I won't do it.
Yeah, it was just wild, because that was the first time where I saw something and I'm like, I wasn't sitting here going, well, Clayton's lying to me, but it just made me like, she puts stuff out there. Again, at the time, you got to put your brain back to 2023 and take away everything since then. We're talking early going. Right. She was putting stuff out there that I was like, well, maybe she is. And that's why when Clayton would respond with the way she does, just the way she responded to Clayton's emails, where it's just like, well, why would somebody say, hey, if this baby is mine, I want 100% custody? Why would he say that if he never impregnated me? Why would a guy say that if he never had sex with me? It's just like, that's not what he's saying. He's just saying, if by some miraculous way you are pregnant,
right?
She just.
I have to say this too, as a to all men, and even women who have never been pregnant, because honestly, I didn't know how women's bodies worked until I got pregnant. Ask a woman who's been pregnant, because when I started reading this case, I was sitting with my mother-in-law and we were reading over like the things we were sending, and it's so obvious for a woman who's been pregnant twice to be like, oh my God, had Clayton just called me, I would have been like, this is what you need to say to her. This is what you need to do. Because I feel like to the women audience, it's so obvious. And it's funny to me that she consistently not only goes after men, obviously in the dating pool, but she goes after men when it comes to content creation. And, she goes after guys. It's never females.
I had somebody that was just a reader, and I think I still have her email, because I don't remember her name, but I could probably just Google my old emails, who just said, hey, Steve, I'm currently pregnant at 20 weeks, right around where Laura is. Here is she goes, I had a doctor's appointment today, and here is my doctor's appointment from my portal. And she didn't X anything out. She just let me see all of her vitals and all that, blood pressure, heart monitor for the baby, all this stuff, her weight, her height, all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, exactly. And I think I emailed Laura that day and said, I think that was in one of the emails that I read last week. It was like, Laura, somebody sent me one of theirs today. It is so easy for you. Don't send me your notes from your neurologist office. Don't send me a sonogram that you clearly stole off the internet. I don't want to see a picture of you in the mirror. Send me, you are a mid-30s woman with twins. You would be considered high risk at this point. Send me your last patient portal and black out whatever you want, whatever you don't want me to see me because you think I'm going to, dox you or something. That's fine. Just send me a patient portal, because clearly if you are, and I think at that point she was 20 to 24 weeks along. If you're 20 to 24 weeks along with twins in a pregnancy at 33 or 34 years old, clearly you're seeing your doctor every couple of weeks, right?
Well, it was a high-risk pregnancy. I was high risk, and I was seeing my doctor every single week, and I was getting ultrasounds regularly, and I was having to take stress tests. So that was the other thing when she's like, I'm high risk, and I'm like, and you're also horse jumping and sucking down Monster energy drinks? Like, what is happening?
Yeah. No, I didn't share the email that I got from that woman, but because I didn't need to, it wasn't relevant to Laura's case, but that was exactly what I was looking for from Laura. And again, she would just not respond for 6 or 7 days and then come back with something else. Like anytime I asked her direct questions, she's never had to answer them. And really, outside of the deposition and the trial on June 10th of 2024, Laura has never had to answer in real time the questions that all of us have had. What about this? What about this? What about this? Because even, we talk about what's coming up in the future and if she accepts a plea deal and if she would ever admit that, you know what, I made the whole thing up. I mean, that's her best bet at this point. It would make, she has such an issue with the JFC crew and how they attack her and how they talk about her nonstop and dig up all these things about her. But it's just like, she focuses on that when she realizes she could have put an end to all this by saying she made this all up. And, the fact that this happened right around the time her sister Sarah was delivering, I think her sister Sarah delivered her first child on May 31st of 2024 or June 1st. It was right around there. I could see why Laura would have just been lost as a woman. She's early 30s. She feels like she should be later on in life. Her sister's having a baby. If she would have just ran with that sob story and said, you know what, I just got carried away, people would have had sympathy for her. And she could have gotten away with, as Dave and I were talking about this, I go, Dave, you realize the later this goes with her not admitting this, as far as I know, once you say you're pregnant, there are two things that can happen here. Either you're going to pop out a child in 9 months, or unfortunately that child is going to not be around at some point, whether you choose to do it on your own or it happens naturally. And Dave and I, we would never say it publicly, but we would say it to each other privately all the time. We're like, Dave, you and I both know she's not pregnant. So at some point she is going to say, I lost these babies. I lost the twins. But we had gotten to a point of 20 to 24 weeks where she had a giant belly. It's like, at that point, it's not, I passed them in the toilet. I was bleeding into the toilet. I realized I had a miscarriage. No. It's a stillbirth at that point. So if you have a stillbirth, where are they? I mean, I would love to ask her. Now, her answer now would be, well, I had lost them a lot earlier. I just didn't know at the time. But it's like, wait a second. If you're going to say now in 2026 that you found out, the doctor said I lost them in July or August, well, then why in a hearing in November, 24 weeks later, did you say, doctor, I want to stand up and show? You wouldn't have that belly at 24 weeks if you had lost them in July or August. I don't think, right? You're a woman. Can you answer this for me?
Well, the babies at 24 weeks, there are plenty of stories where babies survive outside of the womb, at 24 weeks. And that's the thing.
If she lost them in a miscarriage in July or August, like they claimed at the trial, in November, when she stood up with her belly, claiming I'm 24 weeks pregnant, if she didn't know she had lost them, let's just feign ignorance here.
Okay.
She didn't know at the time she stood up and asked the judge, can I show Clayton my pregnant belly? If she didn't know that she had lost them in July or August, would her belly have been that, like?
No, it wouldn't. The other thing is you have to realize that, maybe in July, but I don't think in August. I've been lucky enough to never, lose a pregnancy, but I do know that the further along you get and the more, the further the gestational age, the more gruesome the scene is, right? And I know that she sent these pictures of these, I don't even know what it is. It's supposed to be two fetal sacs in her hand, but you can't even tell that it's a hand. It's close up. You don't even know what it is. That's not it. And
she could have gotten those off the internet as well.
Right. But what I'm saying is, and sorry if we're getting graphic, but the blood alone, it was, what even is that? First of all, but second of all, if she would have miscarried in 24 weeks, she would have gone into labor and given birth to two people.
Mini fetuses. Absolutely.
Right.
So that's why when we found out, she told Gingras, the babies are no longer, I can't remember the wording, but we all know what she said at the time.
Right.
I'd like to dismiss the case. It was just like, whoa. It's like Dave and I were just like, my God, we knew this was coming. We knew it was coming, but we didn't want to say it at the time on the very slim chance that this woman somehow did have babies inside of her, because we had no proof that it was actually Clayton's. And now the investigators of Arizona have found out, by the way, she did have sex 2 weeks before Clayton and 1 week after.
Right.
So now it does throw into the possibility that could she have been pregnant for 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Again, it doesn't seem like it, because she had a full belly in November of 2023, which made no sense a month later saying, I no longer am pregnant. Okay, that's fine.
Right.
If you were pregnant and you lost them, God, Laura, we feel awful for you. Where are they? Because at 6 weeks, at 24 weeks, like you said, fetuses that you would have to get removed from your body, you wouldn't pass them in the toilet.
Well, the other thing is in the state that she's in both states, in California and Arizona, after 20 weeks, for records, fetal death certificates are required.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us online were asking about that. Okay, that's fine. If you did lose them, I'm sorry. Where's your fetal death certificate? And then we never got answers to that. I don't believe.
And you can't convince me for liability alone that somebody on telehealth, if she's like, hey, I think I might have miscarried, that they would be like, oh, it's just fine. Just watch it. No, they would be like, go to the ER immediately. I have to say, I've seen a lot of the discussion going back on the fact that you said if I just got carried away in this. And I've seen a lot of the discussion on like Reddit and in my own chats. And they're like, you know what? All we want is accountability. And all we want her to do is come back and say she's sorry. And, that she got carried away. And for me, I don't know if it's because I just hold a grudge, but I would hate to see her come out and be like, I just, I got carried away with Clayton, because we've seen her drag Michael Maricini through the mud for the past 10 years. And we've seen her do it to Greg Gillespie, both men who are married with their own. I don't know if Greg has kids, but I know Michael does, and drag these families through the mud, which in my opinion, no apology could suffice for what they've done, what she's done to these men.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing she can do at this point is just apologize. Now, it's going to be up to each individual person that's part of the JFC on how much empathy they're willing to give her for that. I will still hate this woman until the day I die. Yeah, I just will never like her. I'll never be like, I'll be like, thank you, Laura, for admitting something we knew 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And that we were calling for 2.5 years ago. And you made our lives miserable. You tried to sue Dave. You tried to get a injunction against harassment against Dave. Yeah. You've just been an annoyance to me, and you make my blood boil every time I had to deal with you. And listening back to the Love Trap podcast, it makes me infuriated to hear more about the Mike Maricini story. I knew the basics. God.
Every time I hear his wife, I get a lump in my throat. I start to get emotional because that's not her bear to cross. Not that it's Michael's either, but now, I mean, she's so insidious that she just gets deep and she just she's like a mold, and she just grows underneath the wood flooring and just flares up at all the wrong times.
See, it's just like, I'm wondering, like, I've talked about this numerous times with Dave and with Rachel Juarez, and I'm just sitting here going like, nobody believes for a second that she would ever, because she's double down, triple down, quadruple down for 2.5 years. Like, does she ever have it in her to be like, deep breath, JFC, you were right about me the whole time. I've made everything up. I just don't see that happening.
I agree.
If she doesn't do that, and let's say she does get prison time, whether it's 6 months or a year, I don't think she's allowed. I mean, I guess she could come out after 6 months or a year, whatever prison sentence she does get, if she gets one. I guess she could come out and say, I'm still innocent. I mean, but then this is just going to continue. So I guess I'm taking it from the stance of, if she were to ever come out and say it, even though I don't believe she will, how would I react knowing that this is all we've wanted from the very beginning? Like, I'll never be friends with her, but I think I would want to put her on a podcast and have her answer in real time for everything that we had talked about.
So 2 things. There's 2 names in true crime, Lori Vallow and Sherry Papini. Sherry Papini, goes to jail. She admits it. She does her time, and then she comes out and she's like, actually, that wasn't the truth. And now she's on, this podcast circuit trying to sell her books, and it's all bullshit. And then Lori
got kidnapped, right?
Yeah, fake kidnapped.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's Lori Vallow, who, is a monster. And she said that her lawyers tried to force her to say whatever it was that she wanted to say. And I see that for Laura, if she takes a plea deal, that later it's going to be like, well, they made me do it. And, after this, and I've told my community too, and I said it might get me kicked out of JFC, but I talk a lot of shit on the internet, and I think that it would only be fair to have her on with me as a rebuttal. I'm not going to be kind about it. I'm not trying to be your friend, but let's sit down and let's have a conversation, and I'll ask you all the questions that everybody wants to know. Do I think I'd get an honest answer? No, but I think we have the opportunity. If she wants to try to rehabilitate her reputation, we would have the ability to ask the questions that they wouldn't be able to answer in court. What I see going for her is someone like Nicole Kessinger, who was the girlfriend in the Chris Watts case, or somebody like Casey Anthony. No, she didn't kill anybody, but these people can't walk in anywhere without everybody knowing who they are. And I think if she takes the plea deal, that's on us as content creators to report on these things so that she doesn't, it's not just a slap on the wrist. I mean, this woman, there's going to be another Michael Maricini or another Greg Gillespie, and she deserves to have this cloud live over her forever.
Well, that's the thing. Like, whatever happens with it, whether she gets a plea deal or whether she gets prison time, I can't imagine, unless whoever dates her is the dumbest human in America that wouldn't want to Google her.
Yeah.
Like, why would any guy even take a chance, even if he wants to believe? I mean, I guess there's a fool out there for everybody, but anybody that she meets on a dating app or meets in general would Google her and be like, oh, no, I don't want to get involved with this.
Yeah,
you would think.
Well, I don't even think it's about somebody being dumb. I think that there are people out there like Laura that are, when you meet them, they are wonderful. They're kind and they are charming and they're wonderful storytellers, and they can spin it and make you believe them. And that's what makes her so dangerous.
I think the thing with having her on, whether it's post-prison time or post-plea deal, is I would not put Laura on unless she is on a tour of, I wrote a book about how I literally ruined people's lives for 3 years and made everything up. That's the only way I would have her on. I want to talk about why she would lie. But if she wants to come on and debate, hey, Steve, when I said that thing about the 2 sacks and when I showed that video, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
We all know it was made up. So I would only talk to her if it is a confession of, this is what I did. I made it all up. And I would dive into the reasons as to why. But again, like I said, if she was going to do that, you would think she would have done that by now, and she's just given up. Like, you know what? White flag. I made that up, but if she hasn't done it by now, it's hard to believe that she will.
She hates JFC so much, and to give them the win, I don't know if she could do it.
That's the thing. Like, I think she knows that she has to know that 99% of the people either that listen to the Love Trap podcast and are hearing this story for the first time, or the JFC people and myself and Dave and Lauren and Omar and Bruce and the people that have been following this from the very beginning, they all know, she all knows that we don't believe a word she has said through basically anything of all this. You would think she would have thought of surrendering by now. And if she hasn't by now, it is tough to think. Now, if she does go to prison, 6 months, a year, 2 years, I don't know how you could go to prison and then come out and still claim innocence, but I guess I wouldn't put it past Laura.
Sherry Papini exists.
Yeah. You would think she'd be like, you know what? I learned my lesson in there.
No,
and it's just like, no, there are some people that have come out of prison still claiming innocence. So
I think this would be another pin in her victim arc. I think she enjoys being the victim. And I think, she got wrongfully accused and the system is against her. And speaking of the court system, one of the things also too, that's so wild about this case is the fact that her lawyer also sucks. I listened to your debate.
You did that. You did a 4-hour video on a 90-minute debate. I was like, wow, this woman is dedicated.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, that debate, watching it in one go almost brought me to start doing drugs. I just watched you in the middle of that and I'm like, how? Because I was yelling the whole time and I wasn't even in on it. Like, how were you just staying so even keeled, knowing all the information you know?
I said this at the time, once the debate was over. I think it was either on the very next podcast I did. I apologized to Rachel because I felt I failed her in that debate. People are saying I was a little too hard on myself for that. I just said I didn't do a good job of reining him in. I should have.
I don't agree with you at all. I think that Rachel had,
I failed Rachel in not letting her talk as much, and I let him talk way too much. I should have said, all right, David, you've gone on for 10 minutes straight now. Let's hear what Rachel has to say. There was times where I think in the first 45 minutes of that video, he spoke for 40 of it. Like, as a moderator, I should have stepped in. I should have just done something different.
See, and I disagree because I think that Rachel is so good at what she does. She's very pointed with what she has to say, and she doesn't have to go on some 40-minute diatribe to explain her side. She has her facts, she has her points, and that's it. And it proves, sometimes the people with the most to say have nothing to say at all. And honestly, watching her and her not getting a lot of time to speak, when she did and what she had to say, I listened. And respect every piece of it. She's so smart.
She obliterated him. And then, there was a part of me that was just like, it should have just been more of a debate of like, all right, you got 5 minutes, go. And I'm going to stop you at 5 minutes, kind of like, presidential debate. So you get 2 minutes or whatever, 5-10 minutes each or something like that. But then as he was going and I realized the verbal diarrhea that he was spilling, I was like, he's burying himself here. This is almost good to show he's coming across terrible in this, so I might as well just let him dig his own grave here. But there was a sense of, because I'm friends with Rachel. Rachel and I basically text or voice memo every single day, and we have for over a year now. So I just felt like I should have stepped in at some point and said, David, okay, enough. You're like, when he went on a tangent. It's like, when you want to stick to the question that I asked, which, I think the very first question I asked, it took him 20 minutes.
30 minutes just to, I'm like, it's a yes or no question.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I should have said, okay, David, I appreciate your story that you told here, but you haven't even gotten to the point of the question. Can we stop with the tangents? And I think that was the part that I felt that I failed Rachel in, that I just didn't rein him in. But some people loved it because they're just like, yeah, let him speak, because all he does is bury himself and show how uneducated he is about this case. And, I've said this, I don't know if you've heard me say this, but I have had 5 phone conversations with David Gingras. All of them have been recorded. They're still sitting here on my desktop. And he knows that they were recorded, because I always said, I've always said, David, I just don't want you to ever use anything against me, so I'm going to record this. And he said, Steve, no problem, record it. I have text message exchanges with him that I've never deleted, but I have 5 conversations with him. 5 times I've spoken to him on the phone in my life, and I recorded all of them just for protection for myself.
Sure.
Now, they've never seen the light of day because David Gingras has never come out against me and accused me of something where I could be like, David, here's the proof. I never said that. So I've never released them, and I don't want to deal with the wrath of David Gingras by just releasing them so we can all hear how unhinged he is, which in the last one, which was in November of 2025, was literally one of the most unhinged phone calls I've ever heard in my life, over something as stupid of him saying he thought that Rachel Juarez was a liar because she said I wrote Laura's appellate brief. And he was just so upset at that. And I was like, yeah, she came on my podcast today, David, but all she basically did was saying, like, this has David Gingras written all over it. Certainly seems like he wrote. No, Steve, she did not say that. She said David Gingras wrote Laura's appellate brief, and I did not. I'm like, okay, what do you want me to say? Like,
okay, and he said Laura Owens was pregnant. What's your point?
Yeah, in his very first email to Dave Neal, where he basically said he was going to bury him, he also said, Dave, I will be the first to admit, if I ever find out Laura Owens lied to me, I will drop her as a client in 2 seconds or immediately, whatever the wording he used was. She's literally been found guilty in a court of law and been brought up for criminal charges, and he never dropped her. So he's just full of hot air most of the time. But man, if these phone calls ever made the light of ever been made public, as bad as an opinion as anybody has of David Gingras right now, it'd probably be 10 times worse. These calls are so bad, and they make him look so bad. And a lot of it is me arguing with him and just telling him, David, I don't respect you. David, you're an idiot. What are you talking about, David? It's a lot. It's a lot of me standing up to him. It's because he's never accusing me of anything. He's just ranting and raving about this case and things here and there, and Mata this and her dad this. And I'm just like, my God, David. I mean, for a guy who got his ass kicked in that case, you're literally focusing, you're so hell-bent on this. She Googled on her own when Planned Parenthood was open. It's like, it just kind of shows me you got nothing, and you're just hanging on by a thread. And then you lost in the case to Mata. You appealed it. You lost in the Arizona Supreme Court. You lost your appeal. It's like, but it's just, to him, he's never lost anything in this case. He'll say like, yeah, I did, but this.
Right. It's always a but. He's got a very interesting sort of victim mentality too. And I've seen some of his, Twitter comments and the Twitter back and forth and the things that he says to people, and just but you don't know. It's like, you're the two of them. I just want to look at them and be like, you do realize you're doing this all to yourself, right? Yeah. Like, it's not anybody else. I don't know where he goes from here. I don't know where she goes from here, because he's in the process of potentially being disbarred, which I think would be a service to people. Because in my opinion, I mean, obviously Laura brought this to the courts, but I think it was David who came in, took the case, and threw her right into to the fire. I mean, bringing this, knowing that he didn't have sufficient evidence and still bringing it in front of the judge in that hearing and stepping in on this case, I think did her quite a disservice. Do you think she goes to take the plea deal? We got 2 days, Steve.
Oh, is that what it is? What happens in 2 days?
The plea deal expires April 30th.
Oh, she has to accept a plea deal by Thursday, or else it goes to there's no way to avoid trial.
Well, I was talking to Omar yesterday, and he said that they could turn around and they could offer her like a second plea deal, another option, which I hope they don't, because I'm tired of this girl getting chances. But potentially, yeah, if she doesn't take the plea deal, then she would go to trial in July.
I don't want her to take the plea deal because I want content creation and I want to go to Arizona to watch the trial. There's going to be a lot of us in the JFC that are going to definitely go out, because that trial, I'm guessing, is going to be over a week long, 5 days, 7, whatever. We're all going. Dave's going. I'm going. I want it to go to trial because I want to hear her again in real time on the stand have to face, I thought, Woodnick's team and Deandra absolutely destroyed her, but I want to hear Arizona State prosecutors, going at her and firing away on her and seeing what she has to say. Like, we all knew that video was suspect of her dad rubbing the belly of who she claims was her. Mm-hmm. But I want to hear, because she's never had to answer for it now. We have found out now, when the investigators did the raid, that she didn't approve of because it was too early in the morning for her. When the investigators did the raid, we have found out that they have found that video wasn't Laura. It's like, we knew it wasn't, but we had no proof. So we would just be throwing stuff out there. So it's like, okay, Laura, again, you sent this video to Dave, Clayton, and Steve to tell them, see, I am pregnant. Mm-hmm. We now have evidence that is not you in that video. That is your sister. So what is your answer? How do you respond to that? And I would love to hear how she responds to that. I would love to hear how she responds to, by the way, Laura, we found evidence that you purchased HCG vials. Didn't you think that elevated your numbers? I want to hear the answer to that. I want to hear the answer to, oh yeah, by the way, when you kept saying Clayton was the only man you had sex with, we have on record, under oath, so-and-so. I believe we don't know his name. Or maybe it's out there in the
it's in the investigative report. Could you imagine getting
that? Do we know his name and people just aren't releasing it, or we don't have
it's in the investigative report.
Okay.
Like when you read that portion of it. But could you imagine getting that phone call and they're like, hey, Steve, listen.
So it's like, Laura, you've now lied about this man. And now I guess she can just say he's lying. I mean, I guess that would be her defense. Like, no, he's making that up. He just wants to be a part of the story or whatever he wants. He didn't like me, so this is his way of getting back at me. I'm sure that would be her answer. But
well, I mean, they'd find correspondence in her phone through text messages. That's probably how they got the interview with him in the first place.
Yeah. So again, those are the things that I'm assuming she's going to have to answer for on the stand. Mm-hmm. And those are all questions among many others. What was that belly that you were showing in November of 2023 during the injunction against harassment hearing? What the hell was that? Where did those babies go? I want to hear the answer to that. Like, there's so many things. And
I'd be interested to know what were the accusations against Greg Woodnick and Greg Gillespie at that time? What happened to that? Why do you abuse 911 when a content creator makes content, or, the Sun writes an article, but you don't call 911 when you've been assaulted, or, Michael Maricini strangled you within an inch of your life? All of a sudden 911 doesn't work then?
Yeah. I mean, there's a litany of questions we have for her. But yeah, since the investigative report came out, and I think the three biggest things were proof that the video was her sister, the HCG vials that she purchased, the fact that we found out that there was another man before Clayton and after Clayton. It's like, okay, all stuff that we assumed was true, but we could never prove it, has now been seemingly evidence by the state to use against her. I do want it to go to trial, and I want her to suffer prison time for this. I think that is, and if she comes out an unchanged woman, then this is never going to go away for her. Like, her only saving grace. No, not every JFC member is going to be like, I'm sure they'll all say, thank you. Yeah, we knew this, Laura. We knew this for 2.5 years. Thank you for finally coming around and admitting this. But even then, even if she does admit it, I feel like there's still some things that she'll say like, yeah, but this part was true. It's just like, no, either all of it was true or all of it isn't. And obviously 99.9% of us believe all of it isn't.
Yeah, I don't know how you apologize for the level of carnage that she has left in her wake. I don't know how.
What can she do? What can she do? Even if she got on a phone with Michael Maricini and his wife and said, I am so sorry. That's all she can do. She can't pay. She's not going to give them money. She's not going to give them any legal fees that they got. So all she can do is just apologize. And maybe that'll give Mike some sense of, relief that, okay, this woman now maybe is officially out of my life. I heard from her. She apologized. I never want to hear from her again, but I'm glad she at least realizes what she did, even if she's making it up to us on the phone. I think Mike and Greg and Clayton just want the sense that this woman will never, ever, ever do anything as long as I can talk about this. If there's a documentary made that Mike goes on a documentary, or Greg or Clayton goes on a documentary to be a part of it, that this woman isn't going to come out of the woodwork and say, hey, these guys need to stop talking about this. Like, no, admit everything you did was made up and just leave everybody alone and allow people, unfortunately, while it does suck, and I'm sure she's had a horrible life for the last 2.5 years, but it was a horrible life caused by her own actions.
Yeah, so, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and she continues to make bad decisions. You still didn't answer my question. Do you think she's going to take the plea deal?
I don't know what the plea deal is. If I knew what it was.
Well, you have to assume that a plea deal is going to be in her best interest, right? We don't know what it is, but you have to assume it's better than going to trial and serving prison time. So let's say, obviously in order to take the plea deal, you have to admit guilt. But let's say, even if it's minimal jail time, it's always, this is probably going to be her best option. But in order to get her best option, she has to admit guilt.
If this plea deal has anything in it where she has to admit guilt, I would say no. I don't think she would have done it by now if that were the case.
Yeah.
It's stupid. And I can't believe a lawyer can't convince her. Laura, you realize if this goes to trial, the state has this, and this against you. I don't know. Do they tell her, hey, it's going to be tough to win? Do they tell her? I mean, I don't know how lawyers act in that situation. Her defense is going to be like, no. Are they behind her right now saying, Laura, we can win this if it goes to trial. Don't take this plea deal. I don't know what her legal team is saying, but if it, like I said, I think Rachel Juarez told me, hey, if there's very minimal jail time or no jail time in this plea deal, you best be certain that it's going to include an admission of guilt. And so we've heard rumblings that there is no jail time attached to this. I think Clayton did a video on this. I think Dave has talked about this, that he has heard rumblings that there is no jail time attached to this plea deal. But like you said, there's no way that the plea deal is no jail time and you don't have to admit to anything. There's no way. So with that said, no. Yeah, 14 felony counts, no. So I can't believe for a second that she's going to accept this if there's anything attached to admitting guilt. And no, I'd be surprised. I'd be stunned if she did, if there's guilt attached to this.
Yeah. There's a lot of speculation, and the more I get into the investigative report and the more I get into the emails, the more I think, especially her mom is in on it. How much do you think the family knows or like truly knows or is in on it, including her mom and Ron and her sister?
Well, you heard what the mom said during the raid. It's just like she just regurgitates whatever Laura has told her.
Yeah.
So her story is Laura's story. So and I'm sure just being a mother, she wants to support her daughter, and she's just turning a deaf ear to all the stuff that the JFC has found. Like, again, everything that I want to hear from Laura and what she has to answer to, purchasing HCG, sex with the guy before and after Clayton, the video of the baby belly rub. I want to hear what Jan has to say about that too.
Yeah.
Like, Jan, your daughter said this. She's told you this. Do you know your daughter sent a video of Ron looking deathly ill on a hospital bed to prove that she was pregnant to 3 content creators? And that's not her. So why did she send them a video saying it was? What was the point of that? And everything I want to hear from Laura, I would like to hear from Jan, but Jan is certainly an enabler. I don't know enough about their family dynamics other than we know Ron was very popular in the San Francisco area, made a lot of money back in the day, had connections. And so it sounds like Laura was a girl who grew up not an only child, but grew up as a spoiled child of a very popular local celebrity in San Francisco. And she's entitled, and she's been given everything her whole life, never had to work for much, very hard. And my gosh, And I think, this brings up one thing that I didn't know about Love Trapped. I didn't know that Laura and Mike did a podcast. God, that was one of the worst podcasts I've ever heard. Just the opening of it and then talking. I was like, I did not realize that got off the ground where they actually recorded stuff. I don't remember if it ever.
Have you listened to the one with her mom?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I've heard portions of the what's the name of it? It's in her email signature. The name.
Nobody told me.
Nobody told me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I listened in the very beginning, in the early 2020. They're like, who is this girl? Oh, she's got a podcast. Let me listen. And I was like, oh God, this isn't very good. And then I was just wondering, why isn't she talking? And then I realized during September and October of 2023, that podcast wasn't live. It was just a bunch of old episodes. I was like, why isn't she talking about the Clayton case on her podcast when this is literally the biggest thing going on in her life right now? And I was like, oh wait, she's not doing any new episodes and hasn't done one in 2.5 years now. But yeah, that Mike one was, it was comical. I was like, wow, Mike really, I mean, he got suckered in big time. We're going to give you 250, 500,000. Is that what they said? $500,000?
Do you know what I would do for $500,000, Steve? I would do a podcast with Laura Owens. That's what I would do.
For sure. Who wouldn't? And yeah, I can imagine him being like, oh, wow, Ron Owens is going to fund this or somehow going to get us this deal. But yeah, Mike was naive at the time, obviously. And he was also scared and just kind of, I don't have the money to fight this in that mode. And it's just I obviously feel terrible for everything that Clayton was put through, but I think for people listening to the Love Trap podcast, and it really hit me harder during the podcast because while I knew the basics of the Mike story, I didn't know the nitty gritty details that have been covered in Love Trapped. And I'm like, yeah, because she dated him for 1.5 years. Clayton was a one night fling, I just cannot believe what she put that guy through and his family. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, if I ever get the opportunity to interview Mike, 2 things. Number 1, I want to hear his story. And number 2, I'm going to toughen that man up because he is too nice. Just too nice. Even did you listen to the last episode of Love Trapped?
Yeah. That was the raid, right? Most of it. Yeah.
And he said that when she came back and she was like, okay, we're done. She made that deal with Omar and Rachel and Mike. And she was like, I'm going to be done with this. And then turns around and he had said, I'm not going to fight it. And his wife was like, no, we have to. And I'm like, I understand that from a guy who's non-confrontational. He's very kind and he's tired. And, and she's still doing this to his family as a whole. And I know that's got to be hard, but for him and his wife to power through and go through this it's admirable because I've been through court stuff of my own and it's exhausting. It is exhausting.
No, for sure. And after everything he had been through up to that point, to see him doing it still in 2026, was it earlier this year or late last year? No, it was late last year, right? It was 2025 when that whole Mike stuff went to court and all that. Yeah, I think it was in September-ish. Yeah, because I was talking to Rachel during that time about it, and she was like, yeah, he was updating me in real time, she didn't show, it's over, and all this stuff. And we're just like, wow, I cannot believe what she stuck to and all this. And again, for a guy, what's frustrating is she's in Arizona. We know this. Mike is in San Francisco with a wife and 2 kids, and Laura is sitting there going, he's harassing me.
Right.
Just shut up. No, he's not.
Well, that's what tells me that it's all so calculated, right? Because she could have moved on to Clayton, but she hasn't. She still sits with these DVROs from Mike and from Greg, and she just keeps this thing going. And she could just let this all go and slink back into the dark, and she refuses to do it.
And I don't know if she's ever is it over with just might be a stupid question.
Trying to appeal it.
She's trying to appeal the Mike stuff?
Yes.
When do we get an answer on that?
I don't know. Chat, help me.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I've run out of where she's at with all. Does she still have an order of protection against Greg? Is that still out there? Is that still active?
That I don't
know. Some protection or training order against Greg?
I don't know if that ended with that case.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even know where she's at with Clayton. Does she still have an order of protection against Clayton and him against her? Or no? Yes. I don't. I know Clayton's might have run out. I don't think he does have anything against her anymore. I don't think.
No?
But does she still have something against him?
I don't know.
Clayton? Yeah.
Well, and also too, I mean, during this whole thing, and when after she's being investigated, and I think it was after her house got raided, she went after a small YouTuber. Like, you would think that you'd be focusing on the fact that you have 14 felony counts, and simultaneously while she's going through all this stuff with Clayton and Mike and Greg and there was a podcasting studio, and then there's some horse guy, and then she goes after Dave. It's like, also, how much money do you have? Because this stuff, it's not cheap.
No, it isn't. I mean, and what she did to me last week, just a simple privacy complaint. It's like, again, she complains about JFC as much as she does, her and Gingras, yet all they do when they were doing their videos. See, you weren't around at that time when they were putting out the videos, right?
No, but I do have access to them thanks to JFC. Okay.
So you have seen, have you watched all of them?
No, but hold on one second, because the chat said that she still has an active order against Greg. The Clayton stuff is all expired. She has an OOP, and she asked against Greg, and she asked for a 63-day extension to appeal against Mike.
Okay.
And that's the thing. Girl, focus on not going to jail. Like,
yeah. Like, what is she worrying about me sharing her emails? Like, there was nothing. I mean, she's getting away on a technicality on my YouTube privacy complaint, because I guess I wasn't allowed to share her email address. I blacked out the email and her phone number. That's the timestamp of all of her emails that she sent with her picture. And that was her phone number and her email address that linked her to the podcast. But the email she sent it to me from, her personal email, I guess because I didn't delete those and I didn't black those out, that's why YouTube granted the privacy complaint. I don't even know.
And you know it was her?
No, but who else was it?
It was some guy in Iceland that's running the Justice for Laura Owens website.
Yeah, technically, could it have been somebody not her? Yes, but it was probably told to do it so it wouldn't be somehow, if I could find a way. I don't even think I can find out who filed the privacy complaint. I don't think YouTube reveals that stuff. But if it wasn't her specifically, who's the only person that doesn't want those emails out there? Her or her family. So it's like I'm saying, could it have been Jan? Sure. Could it have been Sarah? Sure. Could it have been Ron? Sure. But we all know it's like she just didn't want those emails out there because it makes her look horrible yet again, even though they were very early on and they're old news. They're 2.5 years old still. JFC eats that stuff up. I was like, yeah, I'll share all the emails. What do I care?
Yeah.
And I just didn't.
Everybody should know the depths of it, because I think when you do a synopsis on this case, it's like, oh yeah, that's super messed up. And you don't realize how evil and how calculated this all is until you get into the text messages and the emails and how many people she reached out to. Like, and I'm still learning. This web is so wide. Like, where do you find the time?
I got a question for you. When did you start with this? When did you find out? When was it? You said you were sitting with your mother or your mother. When was that?
I started this probably 5-6 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I started with a 3-part series where I broke it down. It was Clayton, then I did Greg, and then I did Mike, and then I did Greg and Dave Neal and their case. And then I started talking to people on lives, and we started going through some of the court documents. And then I made a video about David Gingras and the bar complaint, because that's wild. And then I started covering the bankruptcy. There's so many layers, and it's not even like, oh, she just filed for bankruptcy. It's like everything that she says in these hearings and everything that she does, and also to be going through the bankruptcy and like all of this stuff happening simultaneously, I think is the most fascinating part about this, because a regular person would just give up. I'd give up.
And then the 4-hour video you did of the debate with Rachel.
Yeah. I would like an apology from you, Steve.
I think I watched 2.5 hours of it. And then I was like, and I stopped watching just because I just can only take so much of David Gingras. I was just like, it was infuriating re-listening to him in that debate, just completely dismiss Rachel as a human being, as a woman, as a lawyer. Like, it just was insulting how he speaks to women. And let me just tell you, while I have not released that last conversation I had with David Gingras back in November of 2025, whatever you heard on that debate, that phone call was 10 times worse. And it was just me and him, and it was just an unfiltered, misogynistic rant on Rachel Juarez. And the thing is, obviously, he is a misogynistic pig. But the other thing is, I think he knows that Rachel is a better lawyer than him, and I think he hates the fact that a woman is better at him than something, which is why he does what he does and the things that he says. Because, my God, if people heard that phone call, you would be like, this guy 1,000% needs to be disbarred because he just doesn't know how to handle himself. And he was, honestly, he was probably drinking that night. I can't prove that.
Yeah.
But well, wait a second. It was on FaceTime, so maybe I could prove it. But here's another tidbit from that phone call, that 90-minute phone call in November. He was in his hot tub shirtless, and we were and it was on StreamYard. Like, it was like we did it like this. All I did was strip the audio from it and save it. But I think I still have the video.
Well, I know how I'm showing up to live stream next week.
Yeah, he was in his backyard in his hot tub, shirtless, ranting at me, and I was just because I wanted to be like to visually. We were like so he could see me and I could see. I didn't realize like until I turned on the camera, until he popped up on the screen, I did not realize he was shirtless and in his hot tub.
Dude,
but yeah,
that's my sleep paralysis demon is Gingras shirtless in a hot tub.
All 90 minutes of him just screaming at the top of his lungs. It was unhinged. And I told him during that phone call, David, you are unhinged right now over Rachel making the most innocuous comment on my podcast about how she thought that you wrote Laura's appellate brief. It's like, get over it, man. It's not a big deal.
You want to know what I find hilarious is he's gone after Judge Matta. He talks to Rachel publicly. He talks down to her, but I find it very interesting that he has never gone after Deandra. He only went after Greg Woodnick, and he has never gone directly after Rachel. He's only gone through you. And it's almost like the women that he feels like he couldn't go toe to toe with, he then goes to the men. And it's like, well, with Greg, he knows Greg's not gonna be on his side. So he's going to go after him and talk a bunch of shit about him. But with you, it's like, hey, do you see my side? Do you see how terrible Rachel is? You know?
Well, I felt like he did have Rachel face to face on that debate. And
yeah, but he also
like you said in your video, every time that she brought up a point where I think he realized, oh shit, she got me there. He's just like, yeah, you know what, Steve, let's just move on to the next topic. It's just like, yeah, because she just fucking buried you.
Right. I think he has a problem with women in general, which is why I find the relationship between him and Laura Owens so interesting, because not only would you put your license on the line for someone that you don't know, but then you would also carry it through to go do more cases for her at pro bono. Now you're just losing time and money and your reputation. And, I'm going to speculate here because he has such a nasty desire to be a content creator. I think he thought that he was going to get on this and this was going to just like launch him into the stratosphere. For sure, and it did, but the other way.
Yeah, maybe. And he just thought he was just going to get more attention out of this. And, he's just.
Well, he got it.
Yeah, he got it all negative. And, like I said, it's just funny. Every time he did do a video with Laura on his YouTube channel, they always made fun of JFC, but they knew everything that JFC said about them. So it's like they always complained about JFC, yet if you don't care about the JFC and you think they're all losers, why do you address every single thing that they say about you? Like, clearly they're getting under your skin. Like, he didn't seem to comprehend that. Yeah, I don't care what those people think of me. Really, David? We've been on the phone here for an hour and all you're doing is talking about what JFC has said about you. Mm-hmm. It's just like, you clearly care. And yeah, in that phone conversation, he told me back in November of 2025, I'm done being a lawyer. He said that. I said, David, are you done being a lawyer because you're about to get disbarred? Or are you done being a lawyer because, isn't it convenient now that you're... He said he was moving to Europe. In that phone call, he told me, I'm moving to Europe. I'm not going to be a lawyer anymore.
Right.
I said, wait, you're moving to Europe? I said, but you're saying you're subpoenaing these people. You're subpoenaing Mata. You're subpoenaing your dad. Yeah. But after that, after I subpoena Mata and her dad, which I will win, I'm moving to Europe.
They're done with him being a lawyer. So he's like, you know what? I'm out of here. Yeah. You can't fire me. I quit.
You can't fire me. Yeah, you can't fire me. I quit. Exactly what that was. And I told him that. I go, David, you're not going to be a lawyer all of a sudden now, but because you're up for I'm not going to get disbarred. I'm quitting. It's like, okay, again, it's just talking to a wall. You're never going to win an argument from somebody that is not going to be objective and completely biased. It's just, it was just.
I was talking to Omar about this yesterday, and I'm like, why would you do this as a lawyer? Why would you just take everything that you've ever worked for and you're like, trash can, fire? Like, why?
And I think it's because I think he saw the coverage that it was getting, and he just thought, if I win this case, I will be, not that he was going to be, Brian Friedman or anything like that, but that he would get his name out there and he could build up his resume and whatever. Because he did win that case with the dirty back in the day. But again, he literally, in his first email to Dave, which was like 17 pages long, would not stop ranting and raving about how he won that case. And it's like, if you have to bring up a case from 15 years ago about that you won, it's just like, okay, that kind of shows me you don't really have much after that. And he's a piece of work. But there are times where I'm sitting around during the day thinking to myself, should I text Gingras right now just to get him riled up? Because I know I could fire off a text to him right now to get him riled up and us have a back and forth and him get on a phone call with me just so I can have another recorded phone call of him to have in my back pocket. Because trust me, it's so easy to get him riled up because I have not spoken to him since November of 2025. I think, let me look at my phone right now and just pull up.
I love the idea of you just like doing something in mid-thought. You're like, you know what? I'm about to fuck up his day.
last text I have from Gingras, November 6th, 2025. And I said, it was after we hung up the phone. We were still kind of texting back and forth, and it was just about what we had just recorded. November 6th, 2025 is the last conversation I've ever had with David Gingras on text and right after the phone call. But yeah, there are times where I've just been tempted to be like, I just want to fire off something to get him riled up about something Laura did or Laura said. So
I just love the idea of you being like, hey, you thinking about me?
Yeah. And he would always come to me saying like, I don't listen to your show, but I was told Rachel Juarez said this about me. It's just like, really, David? Of course you were listening.
I think they're watching at all times. Were you ever afraid because she went after Dave? Like, were you afraid that she was going to come after you? Does that bother you? Like, does that scare you at all?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to deal with her. I'm not part of this case other than I attended the trial. And she had sent me direct emails 2.5 years ago. So I don't feel like, but I know that like what happened last week where she got my YouTube video taken down. It's like this whole, I'm not afraid, but I'm just like, I feel like I have to call Rachel Juarez every time. I'm like, can I do this? Can I say this? Could technically she come after me for this? I'm just like, that's why sometimes I get frustrated. I'm just like, I just would rather not talk about it until something major happens. Because Dave was the one that blew up this case into the stratosphere.
Oh, yeah.
I talked about it back in September on my podcast, my daily podcast, but I would bring it up once or twice a week. I wasn't doing 2 or 3 videos a day on this. I wasn't even doing video back then when this case started. So I was just doing audio, and I would just give my thoughts. And sometimes I would share in the moment some of those emails that I read last week, like, talked to Laura yesterday, and my gosh, how annoying was this? And she said this. But after a while, once I realized how crazy she was, there was a part of me that's like, I just don't want to deal with this unless it's just, hey, this is my opinion of what's going on. But my God, it's just been, if you would have told Dave and I back in September or October of 2023, hey, do you think you'll still be talking about this as much as you are in 2026? We thought you were absolutely crazy. And here we are. And I don't think it's going away anytime soon, especially if this thing's going to trial. This will be huge. And then there's going to be if it goes to trial, I got to believe there's going to be another season of Love Trapped. There's probably going to be a documentary made. Like this is going to be a part of my life until I don't know when, until there's never until someone says, no, we're never putting out a documentary on this. It's just going to stay in podcast form. But even if it stays in Love Trapped season 2 podcast form, I'm still going to cover that. So I don't know. I don't know when I'm never going to not talk about this case. It's too important.
I think when she decides to quit, when she decides to be done with all the court and things like that, then maybe, because she won't give the internet any ammunition, but she just keeps going. And Gingras just keeps going.
as long as she still defends herself, this will continue. The second she says, now, I don't think JFC will ever stop existing. It'll still be out there, and people will still tell stories of the days when Laura lied about this and Laura lied about that and blowjob babies and all that stuff. But
they exist.
The day she comes out, and if she ever did admit everything, it would be a lot easier on herself. She says the JFC causes her stress, and that's why she's lost so much weight. She doesn't eat, and all these people are hounding her, and this social media harassment. It all ends, for the most part, if she admits she made the whole thing up. So that's when it would probably end. But you know what's funny? We mentioned this. I talked about being in the I can't remember. I talked about this in a different interview, but I was in the mortgage industry back in the early 2000s, and I literally had someone, my mortgage processor, the one who funded my loans, text me or message me on Instagram yesterday out of the blue. Hadn't spoken to her in 20 years. And she said, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe," she calls me Carb. My last name is Carbone. She calls me Carb. She always has. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm listening to my favorite new true crime podcast. And what do you know? My favorite loan officer from 2003 pops up. Carb, I can't believe you were part of this story." And I was just like, and then we just went down memory lane. But that's what I mean. Like, this person hasn't been in my life for 20 years, messages me out of the blue saying this is her new favorite podcast. And oh my gosh, I cannot believe this Laura girl. She is crazy. I'm like, yeah, you don't know the half of it.
Well, I have to tell you, I mean, I've told my brother-in-law was just on my members stream today, and I'm trying to explain this to him in the little time that we had. And he's like, everybody in the chat is like, please don't try to make any sense of this because it gets worse.
Yeah.
But trying to explain it to the people that I know, and, you know, I got to interview Clayton, and they're like, well, you do true crime. Why did you interview Clayton? I'm trying to explain it to them. And they're like, we don't get it. And I'm like, I need to go online. There's this group of people who get it.
Rachel Juarez reached out to me in September of 2024 to talk about a legal matter in the Bachelor world. And I had her on the podcast. It was about Gen Trans season. And I had Rachel Juarez on the podcast. And as we got off the podcast, I was like, are you familiar with this Clayton Eckert story? She's like, oh, is that Bachelor that I read the headlines and they got somebody pregnant or whatever. Rachel Juarez knew nothing. This was 3 months after I had been to the trial. Rachel Juarez knew nothing. And I was like, do you want to read? I go, this is crazy, Rachel. You probably love this stuff. And she's like, yeah, send me the basics. And it was like a 45-minute video that Megan Fox put out maybe a month before the trial to basically a TLDR to get everybody caught up on, if you don't know anything about this case, here's 45 minutes of what you need to know. And then I sent her that video, and then I sent her the clip of the 2-hour the trial, and then I sent her some links to the Justice for Clayton or Victims of Laura Owens site, whatever site it was back in 2024. And then obviously all of it. So I was the one that turned Rachel Juarez knew nothing about this case until I turned her onto it. And now obviously she ended up helping out Mike in his case against her. So yeah, it's amazing how many people have, especially with Love Trap now, there's a whole new audience of people that, including my loan processor from 20 years ago, who had no clue about this and that I was even involved.
Yeah, I mean, it's the level of work that this community has put into this too, with the documents and the videos and the timelines. And when I first started, like, just kind of diving into it, I stumbled on my own of the VOLA website, the Victims of Laura Owens.
Yeah.
And I start reading it, and it's all the documents and the time. And I'm like, well, what the hell is this? Like, you know,
there's so much. You can't summarize this in an hour to somebody because there's too many documents. If you really want to know the true scope of how deep Laura Owens has gotten into with men, you would need to take days if you wanted to read everything going back to Maricini, you know?
Right. And one of the things that we do, like, on my channel is not only just true crime, but the education from it, right? Like, what are you getting from the story? And within this story, there are so many different things to learn. Like, they just keep coming. And I think that's what's so wild. I'll have content for the next 30 years, as far as I'm concerned, doing this and breaking it down and reading all the documents.
Yeah. It's wild. And, you know, I thanks for letting me know that. I didn't realize this plea she had to accept or deny by Thursday. Cause I got another thing major happening in the Bachelor world on Thursday. Taylor Frankie Paul is going to court with her baby daddy on April 30th. I think it might be live streamed. I think it's going to be, the judge just ruled yesterday that he's not sealing the documents of that case. So I don't know if that means the trial, the hearing on Thursday will be live streamed or not, but I'm dealing with that on Thursday, so that's going to be interesting. Anyway, I'm sorry. I've totally got to run, but
no. Thank you for sitting with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. Sorry, my video went out there for a little bit, but
no.
Love your stuff. Thank you for spending 4 hours on my debate with Rachel and Gingras and seeing the craziness that was. But again, yeah, this was a lot of fun. Definitely have me on whenever.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Steve.
You got it. Bye.
All right. Hello, everyone. Let's go back and see if I can pull some questions and some things that we were talking about. And then I'm going to go back up quite a little bit. Let's see. We'll go back to this one. He hates that Rachel is smarter and he has a TV show. You know, it's interesting because in that debate, he brought that up. And he's like, that just sounds like a TV show thing, trying to minimize the fact that she's not only is she a lawyer, but she's on TV. Let's see. What else here? Just to get in some questions. I honestly, the thought of him being shirtless in a hot tub, every time I'm like, this case can't give me more. It does. It just gives me so much more. Laura should have listened to Megan Fox. She kept saying Gingras was going to make her case worse. Yeah, well, you know, he did. Oh boy. What else do we got? Oh yeah, that's right. He has a lifetime ban on YouTube, so he can't really be the content creator that he hopes to be. Oh, he's not moving to Europe anymore. He's moving to California, I guess. Okay. Let's see. What else do we got? What else? The amount of videos David used to put out about Laura was crazy, but new stuff kept happening. I have to say, as a client, if that was my lawyer and that's what he's spending time on, instead of spending time on researching my case, because this man shows up into a courtroom and goes, oh, that was before my time. Hey, how about you get off the internet and you do a little research? There's always that as well. Dave really rarely covers her anymore. It's good we have new content creators and also to experience it for the first time. I mean, and that's myself. We'll go into stuff. We get into the investigative report and I'm just like, how is there more? How does it get worse? I just don't understand how it keeps getting worse. What else? I wonder how many people Laura Owens has actually victimized. It has to be more than 5. Well, I mean, too, you have to look at the families now, too. It's not just Mike. It's Mike and his wife and the impact that it has on his children. It's Greg and his wife and the impact it has on their children. It's Clayton and the impact that it has on his family. It goes far beyond just all of these individual people. Let's see. What do you guys got for me? Bacon, True Crime, and Wine Time. Melissa, Jade, and others are proof you can catch up on before your time. Yeah, I don't get paid $400 an hour, and somehow I know a ton about this case. You know, and it's just so crazy to me that she can continue with all the proof that's out there. Like I don't know. And I was talking about this with my husband, and I brought this up with Omar yesterday, right? I don't know what mindset you'd have to be in to have all this proof in front of you and have the gall and the gumption to be like, yeah, no, you know, and just instead of just being like, yeah, no, I did that. I just, you know, when people talk about giving her grace and people talk about giving her forgiveness, I just don't know if I'll be able to do it. And mostly it comes down to, I mean, it comes down to Greg as well, but you have to go back to the beginning. And the fact that she still now in 2026 is trying to go after Michael Maricini for just living his life with his family and his kids. She's not sorry. She's not sorry for anything. In my opinion, that's not, there's no remorse there. She just so adamantly thinks that she is right. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I personally could ever take an apology from her because I don't know because I think an apology would be for her. And that's the thing that I struggle with, instead of an apology for the men and what she actually did. I think she would apologize for herself, to get herself out of these situations. She loves that he didn't dig into the old cases. Let's see. Yeah, she found someone to be her cheerleader. And I was talking about this with Omar yesterday too. I think if Gingras would have came in, I mean, obviously we know that, he said some nasty things, and there were a lot of people in my chat who are like, no, he's this and he's this and he's that. Listen, just hear me out. I don't like Gingras just as much as the next guy. However, I think if he would have backed out of this case like any other lawyer, I think the community would have given him some grace and been like, listen, you're just lawyering, right? Like you just went in, you did your job, you did your good faith basis until you found out that there was more information. It's okay to change your mind when you find out that there's more information, and that's fine. And he could have came out and he could have had the notoriety that he wanted. But for some reason, he became her number one cheerleader. And now all of a sudden she's this, I believe her and I believe that she was pregnant. And that's the other thing. He still can't answer the questions that we all wanted answers to. Rachel asked him a ton of questions in their debate, and there's still were no answers from him. There's no answers from her. There's no answers from him. How many guys did she hook up with and claim to be preggers? And the guy might have thrown money at her. Yeah. We now know about the men that have said no, but how many of the men have said yes? How many men have said yes to get her off their backs? Yeah, reading the documents, I don't think you can get the full scope of this case without really deep diving, because I think you really have to understand. You have to understand the terms of the dating contracts. You have to understand the fact that she's like, oh, I've always wanted to be a mom, but also I'll have an abortion if you date me. And like just a woman who and also too, when you talk about victimizing, you're looking at anybody in this case who has suffered some sort of loss, no matter what that is pertaining to this case. You're looking at the woman who's in the investigation report, who she stole her sonograms. She stole her story. She stole her trauma and then weaponized it against somebody else. It's insane. I think, I don't know what that is. Let's see. That's exactly why I don't think she should have gotten a plea deal, because she's not sorry and she's continuing to do all of this. I don't think she should either. And I think, right, like if I was a prosecutor, I would have looked at this whole case and been like, listen, this girl shows a pattern of escalation, right? With Mike, she told him that she was pregnant. She told him she lied about it, and then she got a DVRO, okay? With Greg, she does the same story, but now she's got the DVRO and it's abortion coercion. With Clayton, she is dragging him through the court system to try to get paternity. And it's just, it gets bigger every time. These stories get bigger. They cost more money. They, Greg's over $300,000 in debt because of this. Clayton was over $150,000 in debt because of that. It's ridiculous. She may be sorry she got caught. I agree. Let's see. If she didn't get DG as a cheerleader when she did, it'd be different. I also think had they left content creators alone, I think this would have been way different. I think had she, I don't know when, but that's the thing. You start going after content creators and then they're like, oh no. And now it's out here and it's out here and it's out here. And with the speed of the way that information travels, it's going to be faster than Laura Owens could ever control. And I think and everybody banding together, everybody understanding. And, when I listened to Schnitzel on the podcast and her talking about, well, wait a second, you're abusing this, you're abusing the court system. This isn't right. And then she goes into it, and then, she starts putting this out, and then it's, Dave starts putting it out, and then Megan, and then they all start working together, and then the people are watching, and then JFC, I don't know who started JFC, but all these things start and they become bigger than her. And I think she should have just, if that were me, also I'm thinking about this with a logical mind, but if that were me, I would have just hands up and just slunk back into my hole and never to be seen from again, ever. Oh, she and her mom, she and her mom calls these men boyfriends, a few dates. Let's see. Hey, thank you. Lives like they're nothing. Just got here, so I'm starting at the beginning. I just wanted to say congratulations. You're killing this stuff. You guys always say this about me. It would be nothing without you guys. You guys say it in the chat. It gets it gets manifested. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to have the interview with Omar. I wouldn't have been able to have the interview with Clayton. This is all thanks to you guys. I appreciate you guys so much, and the opportunities that this has brought me. Listen, everybody's like, cover this. Are you going to quit covering this? And I'm going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off. I'll be covering this case. There's so many documents we have to get to. He cheered her right into 14. Hey, 14 felony indictments. Let's go. Yay. Well, the problem was on his day one, he was insulting people on Twitter. Honestly, if that was my lawyer, I'd get a new lawyer. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And knowing that he charged Laura $400 an hour, ma'am, this is what you're paying for? I'd say I appreciate your apology, but the damage you caused me and my family is beyond forgiveness. Prove you're sorry because your words are for your own sake. How do you get out of that? How do you prove it? How do you prove? I don't know. I mean, it's not for me to accept. That's an apology for Michael or Greg or Clayton or, but I got to tell you, and I haven't talked to Michael or his wife, but the way that his wife sounds and she's like, no, we're going to fight this. That's the way I would be with my husband. And let me tell you, you play with my husband, you'll never get forgiveness out of me, girl. Never. Not a chance. I think for DG, he treated anything that wasn't from his client as relevant and ignored any proof because it was bad for the kind of case and strategy he decided to pursue. I think the best thing that he could have done was withdrew from this case. Honestly, I really do. You guys are so nice. Look at you. We mocked Corey Keith until he backed out, and then he filed the notice of candor and became a JFC hero. I mean, even when I was watching the injunction, the IAH, right? And they had Josh, and there were people in my chat that were like, "Oh, Josh, this or that." Josh, you can't do that. He's just doing his job, right? And he only knows, and he's trying to protect what his is in the best interest for his client. And eventually, he withdrew because of whatever reason. I mean, they're just doing what they think they have a case with, and then they all come back out. The fact that Gingras just was like, you know what? I feel like running my professional life right into the ground. Hey, man. I know he diversified and it's good for him and all that jazz, but Dave Neal would still cover this. Right. He's going to cover it. I have to reach out to him and see if he wants to sit down with me and talk about it, because I'd really like to talk about it from a content creator standpoint and talk about what that does to you. As I've never had anybody go real world with me. I'm not inviting it. Okay. This is not something I'm manifesting. But I've never had anybody go that far. And I don't know what that's like. And I don't know the impact. And there's been some people in the JFC that have told me that, they went after him on his baby shower, and they went after him at his baby moon, and just ruin those moments and be sucked up in this case and, have the things that she said, this would be blood on your hands and whatever. I'd like to talk to him about that a lot in the behind the scenes. Oh yeah. Somebody just sent this to me. Yeah, you know what? I don't know why, but I was trying to give him like benefit of the doubt a little bit, and then this came up, and I was like, nope, nah, dog, you'll never get it from me. Never get it from me. To be fair, I would still give Corey a hard time for mansplaining fake miscarriage to a woman judge. Where is that? I would like to know that one. Let's see. Scorched earth is that's what both of these people have done to their reputations. And that's the thing. Like with Jan, her mom, I just don't know how as a mother your job and your goal is to protect your daughter, and you're not like, listen, we need to adjust here what you're doing, because this is going to ruin your reputation for the rest of your life. You're 35 years old. You are young. This is not good. Anybody? The charges were later dismissed due to prosecutorial misconduct. Read the victim's statement on it. I was disgusted with GD. Ugh. DG. Yeah, I bet. David said that if she was lying, he was going to drop her, and that's where he went wrong. He could have withdrew. He could have also withdrew and gone about his merry way, honestly. That's what I meant by more than 5 men. She is victimized. Yes, her families are a part of it. But there must have been men who paid her to go away. Oh, I don't doubt that there are other people who are like, just have gone into the night. Let's see. I haven't gotten into the Greg letters or emails or text messages yet. We'll get there. Maricopa County settles 98% of criminal cases with a plea. Boo! Tomato, tomato. The deck would start on fire. I want to do a tarot reading. I love those. I think her mom is the reason for the escalation. I mean, if nobody holds you to, if nobody holds your feet to the fire and they're always just like, do whatever, you're fine. Like, if nobody's going to stop you, why stop? I think they have to offer her a plea deal. I don't know anything about that. Laura N also made a beautiful compilation fairly early on of people in JFC talking about how they are actually DVRO victims, and it was very touching. That is amazing. And that's a thing, right? Like, I think if they could get past themselves, which I don't think will ever happen, but there's so many beautiful things that have happened in this community. So many people who have, there's been a camaraderie that's happened, but also, just from my experience, the people who want to get together, not just to talk about this case, not just to shit on Laura Owens, although it is a very fun pastime. It is about learning. It is about talking about things. It is about continuing the story, because it's important that the victims, get their time in the light. And Laura Owens doesn't just get her say. And that's the thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm karma for them, because they may be loud, but I'm louder. And I'm going to cover this case, and I'm going to try to do it with the most education that I can, and talk to other people about their experiences. And I think that's something that's so important. And I've seen that, when I watch Megan, or when I watch Bruce and Lauren and Dave and who else am I thinking of that I've watched cover these things, and Schnitzel. Everybody just wants the victims to be front and center. And that's what the most important thing is. And it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to watch. And also, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So, there's that. I wonder what the total amount that all her victims have spent representing themselves. So I was in True Crime and Wines live this morning, and they were doing a beautiful job of breaking down Clayton's legal fees. And I was like, that is very interesting. And it's funny, because I told you guys I went through court last year, and when they sent me everything that they charge for and how it's broken down, I didn't know that until I got the bill. And I got Tony Robbins straight from my lawyer. But, a lot of people don't understand how family court works. A lot of people don't understand how much this costs. And it's all time. And that's what Clayton was talking about. They talk about status hearings, and they talk about, every time my lawyer calls your lawyer, it's $800. And if we can't figure this out, they get paid. So, what do they have? What's the incentive that they have to figure it out? I don't think she thinks she's right. I think she has to convince herself to get out of the hole she's dug herself. She lies about the current problems without thinking about how it affects others. Let me think about this for a second. Because I agree with you, but I also disagree with you. And I agree with you because I think she just throws out accusations and she just does whatever she wants. But I disagree with you because I think she thinks that how do I explain this? Like, she tried to convince Clayton, right? I'm the right one. You want to be with me. I'm the best thing that you'll ever have. I think there's a part of her or a person like her that would feel vindicated in what they're doing because Clayton or Greg or Michael rejected her. And I think there's a part of her that uses that and is like, okay, you hurt me. Now I'm going to hurt you because you did it first. And if you look at the emails where she talks to Clayton, he was nothing but kind to her. And she's like, you haven't been kind and you're very mean. And I think in her distorted reality, them saying no to her is them being mean to her or them it justifies her actions. I hope I'm saying that right. Let's see. It's not our fault she's so entertaining. I don't think that would have mattered. We were out for justice and the truth from the beginning. So how does it work? Clayton pays Woodnick or Lowe pays Woodnick? I think Clayton pays Woodnick and then she has to pay him back because Woodnick has to get his money. I'd love to talk to Woodnick. Oh, I'd love to talk to him. I'd love to talk to Deandra. Well, I would love to just sit with Deandra and just stare at her beauty and glory. I just love her so much. I mean, both of them. They are wonderful lawyers. But like when I think about 5-year-old little Bacon and the lawyer that she wanted to be when she grew up, it was Deandra. For sure. It was who she was against Laura Owens. Like, oh yeah? Oh yeah? Truly, I don't think she's taking the plea because she can't possibly admit that she is guilty. I think she genuinely believes her insane lies at this point. I don't know if she believes the lies, right? Like, I don't think she truly believes that she was pregnant. I don't think she truly believes that Clayton was the father. I think she truly believes she's the victim. And victims are, she has to dig herself out of this, right? Everybody's dogpiling on me. Let me tell you my truth. I do, I think she thinks that the world is against her because I think when you're a person who's never suffered any real consequences, I don't think she thinks what she's doing is that wrong. If it's wrong at all, she's justified because they didn't want to be with her. Oh, it is Lowe's bill. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, boy. If it were Clayton, I might be able to forgive. But what she has done to Greg and especially Mike and their families, and that she's still doing it, is beyond the pale. Yeah. I don't even know. For Clayton, like you just drug a year out of this man's life. I don't know. I just think I don't know. It's the calculation, right? It's somebody going into this and going so far as to file court documents and establishment of paternity and steal sonograms and I don't know. I genuinely fear for her next victims. If she doesn't go to prison, she won't be hiding moon bumps. She'll be hiding bodies. JFC formed pretty early, but we had a group called The Flock helping with investigation, honestly. And two, even when I'm on stream and I have my Discord open, I'll be like, oh, I wish I could find that. Somebody in my DMs is like, right now, we got it. Boom. I think Schnitzel started JFC and others helped. Oh, okay. I'm watching EDB Thursday about Taylor Frankie Paul. Ooh, I'll be watching that. I love EDB. I love her so much. I'd love to talk to her one day. That's my goal. She's my hero. I love her so much. There's no organization. You know who would say that, Bruce? A cult leader. Also, do you guys like how one of my wings is shorter than the other? Because when my brother-in-law was on stream, I was crying and it came off. Oh, boy. It's been fun watching you get more exposed. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Legal Vices used to say Dingus got the case moving, moved right into criminal charges. Honestly, and again, right, like I talked about this with Omar yesterday, you have an obligation to your client and to do what's in their best interest. Why would you think that arguing a fraudulent paternity case was ever in the best interest of your client? I don't understand why you think that would be acceptable. Reddit, but JFC isn't really a group. It's anyone that is horrified by it. Everybody's horrified by it. Yeah. And justice for the victims. What a combo. Dave Neal, you're next. I'm coming to interview you in the dark. Laura would have to pay everyone involved for their legal fees as a first step. Admit you lied in the court. Ugh. Dude, Reddit had me so scared. And when I found out that a lot of my people were coming from Reddit, I'm like, oh no, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. A bacon schnitzel live stream would absolutely rock. You need to make that happen. I'll make that happen. Whatever. Whoever you guys want me to talk to, I will. Oh, boy. Not going to lie, this low BS has been a huge time suck voluntarily, unfortunately. I thought that my community was going to get really sick of it, and they have just held on for dear life, which has been great because I'm so fascinated with it. I mean, it's hard not to be fascinated by this case. All the twists and turns. Please. All hail St. Dave. All hail. May Dave be with you and also with you. I remember, let's see. Where do we see Corey? Lawyers have to do what they have to do. It's their job. Oh, man, I am way back in chat. Sorry, everyone. Yes, do a Dave interview. I will. I still cover things. It's just stale for me, having been here for years. Yeah, I bet. And also going through it in the real world, like I can't imagine how that affects you and you just being like, you know what, I'd like to talk about anything else. Oh. Oh, God. All that jazz without thinking about Dave. Who's Dave Neal? Gotta catch them all. I told you guys in the Discord, I'm here to knock everybody up. Praise be Dave. Praise be Dave. He's some podcaster. It's worse than you think. Let's see. Corey Keith having respect for the law and the truth looks so much more admirable when you see him compared to Gingras. Yeah. I gotta tell you, I gotta hear those. I want to hear I do and I don't, because it's like I already know somebody like Gingras. I'm like, I could only imagine. He probably called Rachel every name in the book, probably said she was stupid. She doesn't know what she's talking about, while he's having his apple teeny shirtless in the casita in the hot tub. That took me out. Oh my God. February status conference video, Bacon, you need to watch. Okay, we'll get there. It was ultimately dismissed. Oh, we saw that. Okay, I think the status conference. Casey Anthony was also a mom. That's a good point. Where is the victim statement? I don't know. She can't claim she was pregnant when she's out of prison. Huh? You mean like right when she gets out of prison? Yeah, I don't know. And I was talking to this, with Omar yesterday. It's like, how do you, as a judge or as like a lawyer, as somebody who's a convicted liar, if she takes this plea deal or she goes to jail because of the trial, how do you take somebody like this seriously? How do you do it? I don't know how you do it. You read tarot cards? I want a tarot reading. Tell me how my YouTube channel is going to take off. I want to know when I'll be rich, girl. Oh, God. I flapped my hands in visceral cringe. You are warned. The mom is probably more evil. Listen, I'm a parent, right? And my goal with my kids is to just try to protect them, try to help them, and just try to make sure that they're not dicks, right? Because eventually I'm going to send them out into the world. And that's my only job, is to make people who are going to be able to fit into society and try to be better than I was. And to watch Jan and the dynamic between Jan and Laura Owens, I honestly, like, not that I feel anything for any of them. Don't get it twisted. But, it's very sad. It's very sad because, you are actively setting your daughter up for failure, and eventually one day you're not going to be here, and you're not going to be here to protect her. And yeah, I don't know why you would do that to your child. I don't know why you would give her 0 of the skills that she needs to succeed in life. And then one day you're going to have to set her free because, hopefully that's the goal, right? We die before our kids. What happens when you guys aren't around? When she can't stomp and she can't scream and she can't get out of everything? And honestly, if she learns nothing from this whole ordeal, whether she takes a plea deal or whether she does jail time, if she learns nothing from this, in my opinion, I only see it as a downward trajectory for the rest of her life. And what does that look like when her mother isn't here anymore and her dad isn't here anymore? Yeah, boo, tomato, tomato. Don't forget DG filed the jurisdiction when the charges were filed in his own case. I don't know about that. Let's see. Boo, hiss, tomato, tomato. Well, they don't have to offer a plea, but they typically, and they did. They're just going too easy on her. I don't know. I don't care how easy it is. The fact that she has to admit guilt, I don't know if I think she can do it. I don't know if I think she can. The only bright side of a plea deal is the fact that she's going to have to admit to all of her lies. And I don't see that happening. Yeah, right. To Laura, everything is doable. I also think she thinks everything is fixable because I'm sure she has been bailed out of everything that she's ever done in her life. There have been several Reddit posts asking what's your why, and people share stories. Oh, I don't know about that. Laura's parents not getting her psychiatric help and just allowing her to create these fictional scenarios instead is almost as bad as Laura's behavior. Also, too, when you look at Mike Maricini's account and he says that Ron looks at him and is like, hey, listen, take a couple of weeks and get out of here so we can get her more stable. Why are you not taking his side? I would be like, run. I'll deal with this. This is my daughter. Go. Be done with this. Like, why? And that's the thing, right? I'm curious as to what the dynamic is in their family that everybody is like so scared of Laura Owens in the family to like set her off or to like, what does that look like? What does that look like when she becomes furious? Because obviously something is going on inside of that household that everybody tries to keep her calm. Right? I think her mom is the true mastermind. God, we'll find out. Boo, hiss, tomato, tomato. That's when we don't like somebody. I don't know if I can't throw tomatoes on StreamYard. I can only do it on OBS. I got to tell you guys, though, I really like this StreamYard. This is really nice. This is a rare case where 99.9% of people who are on the same side. Find me the 1%. Who's that? Laura Owens? David Gingras? Who is not on this side? I've yet to see one person on the other side. I want you and Dave Neal next. Let's go. I thought that too until I read the investigative report and actually read her unhinged theories and craziness. Those emails would have been crazier if they were written by her mom. Dude. What is going on? Like, as I was reading that, I'm like, what is going on? This case speaks to real victims of domestic violence, rape, pregnancy loss, because we know she's lying. And that's the thing, right? It goes beyond the men. It goes about people who have really experienced these things. And for you to just go out there and just frivolously say, I've been assaulted, or I've been, a victim of domestic violence, or I've been this, or I've been that. When you go out there and you make those claims and you have, I don't want to say nothing to back it up, because I don't ever want to require proof from a victim. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that all of her stories are untrue, in my opinion. And when you go out there and you do that, you diminish every other story from real victims. And that's a fucking crime. I've missed the Laura Demon voice.
She's always here. She's always here.
Let's see, what else do we got? Digital assault. Oh boy. Clayton 250, Greg 300, Mike 300. Oh my God. Insane. Have you watched any of the coverage by Jeff? No. I actually heard about Jeff in a live stream one time, and I told everybody if they wanted to watch his live stuff, or his streams, or his coverage, that I would absolutely do that. I have not had the pleasure to be able to meet him, or have correspondence with him. But I know that everybody said that I would really like his stuff. So that is one thing that is on my list to do. I'm being 911. Hi, I'm being assaulted with tomatoes. Where? Online. Oh God. Every time someone sends an email, like Laura blowing up Omar or Dave, when he was in this. Omar, how dare you keep from me the tea of these emails? I didn't know that. I want the emails. Send me the emails. I agree. She's also very calculated. Sorry, I'm just back now. Vindictive for sure. The court is crazy expensive. Went through a court situation with this type. Everybody, everybody except for nice guys like Clayton, I think, or Mike, or Greg. Maybe not Greg. From what you guys have said, I haven't read his stuff yet, but Greg seems to be pretty spicy. But for these other guys, I think they just don't know this kind of person. I know this kind of person, but some people don't know, and that's what makes her so dangerous, right? The most poisonous animals in the animal kingdom are the most, I would say, the most beautiful, but the most charming. I think Lo is lying and is taking concrete actions to validate her lies, but the problem is in her head, it has become true. I thought you meant she believes her lies. Let's see. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. She learns everything she can about a guy, and then she uses it against him to get what she wants. We talked about this today and in the members only live stream, and we were talking about the fact that Clayton was trying to be kind to her, and he was giving her, he was trying to explain all of this away essentially, and he was giving her then ammunition because there was too much in the text that she was able to use. Woodnick isn't getting paid? What? I want to pay him. Damn it. That's crazy. I want to talk to him. Clayton basically said the same thing about her, why she does this. These are yes and no questions, ma'am. Isabel wrote a lot of motion content. She probably knows a deep lore. Does she want to talk to me? Because I would talk to her. I want to interview Zaddy. Yeah. That would be great. Hopefully after the trial, people will be able to talk openly, especially those on the witness list. Send them my way. I want to interview all of them. She's looking at $1 million. She cost these guys because there's keep one other who had lawyer fees. Yeah, but the thing is too, is like, I forgot who said it. Somebody in the chat said that she would have to, they would have to, like Clayton would have to stay on her about paying, which is crazy. If you've been ordered by the court should require you to pay that money to the court. and then they should release it to Clayton. That goes back on the OJ case, right? During the civil lawsuit, the wrongful death lawsuit, OJ was required to pay Ron Goldman's dad, Fred Goldman, was required to pay them money, and he just never did. So then they were able to make, money off the book or, other ways, but he wasn't going to pay that money. My divorce happened during a mock high school trial and I got charged. What did I just read? My divorce happened during a mock high school trial and I got charged. What? My mom always said, if you believe a lie long enough, you think it's the truth. It's that way with Laura Owens, and I feel like that's how Trump convinces himself that things he lies about are true. I think people like that just don't care. They just say shit and they don't care. Honestly, I don't know if they believe it's true. I just think they think that they can say, I think they think that they're important enough that if they say shit, people will believe them. I don't know. This is a great point. She never once believed that she was pregnant. Not once. Why? Otherwise, why falsify records? Right? It's not like some phantom pregnancy that she believed that she had. Right? Why go out and buy the alleged moon bump? Why fake ultrasounds? Why not go to real doctors? I mean, a phantom pregnancy is something that really, really happens. Great point. She doesn't believe it. She believes she has no consequences. I can't blame Greg for wanting to talk until she's in jail. If I was one of those guys, I think would be him as far as reactions. She is terrifying. Well, also, you've seen the first guy, too. He's like, I want no part of this. Nope. No, thanks. Let's see. Yeah, I couldn't forgive her. I fear this is becoming... I don't know about all that. Let's see. 3 years and called his future speaking engagements and lied to them to fire him. Insane. Yeah. To continue this. And that's the crazy thing, right? Like, you would expect somebody like this to just go on to their next victim, to just continue on and move on. And she never did. She puts her hooks into one of them and she keeps them. It's almost like they're collector's items. Hit up Megan Fox. Megan has everything and is someone that scares Laura and DG. We have been talking in email and our schedules have not lined up, but we will get a live stream together. Her and I have been chatting. I don't understand why anyone wouldn't feel bad for Clayton. Yeah. No, I think everybody feels bad for Clayton. I think it's just different because Michael, has been drugged through this and has a family. That's all. Let's see. Gotta catch me. If I pray hard enough, will you show up? Dear Dave. Dear Lord and Davier. You think Jeff is still here? Are we talking about the same person? Because there's a content creator that somebody told me passed away, and now I'm making fake rumors. Oh, no. Let me see. She won't accept the plea because she's not going to take the restitution bill. She believes she deserves to have what she wants, regardless if the guy does not want her back. How dare anyone not want to make her happy? They must be punished because that's equivalent to a crime. I agree with that. I think she thinks that she's, like I said earlier, she's vindicated in what she's doing. DG just thought he could bully the court like what happened to GG. Yeah, I also think, I think Gingras was going up against a woman judge and thought he could get his way. I think that's how low he sees women. He must be praised. First live I ever caught when I was in the Immaculate Deception. I'll praise Dave. Oh boy. I've watched a lot of true crime and I'm concerned I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that. from a business standpoint, have to diversify. No, for sure. For sure. People will stick with cases like this until there's a resolution. She's like Sarah Boone for me. I cannot get enough. I'm so horrified and fascinated by their actions, how you treat other people like that. I think, too, it's fascinating because you just would never get there, right? Like you'd never make these decisions. You'd never make these choices. And then you see people doing it and you're like, why? Why would you do that? And you can never figure it out. And somebody like Sarah Boone, oh my God, she just keeps doubling down. And you got to respect it a little bit. You got to be like, you know what? She picked a lane. She stuck with it. I believe Laura and Jan feel like the ends justify the means. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Dave and his humidifier. I saw your floor. That's scary. What happened? Hi. Life coincidentally fell apart, went off the deep end 3 years ago. And when I found Laura Owens, it just kind of makes me feel better. It's a positive sign for me. I enjoy the cult. I love this. I love this. You were my first intro. Dave Neal, you were my first intro to the low insanity right when it all started. Praise be Dave. Praise. In my opinion, she will eventually resort to violence if she's not stopped. She's in the infant stage of the people we watch in true crime docs. I don't know. I don't know. Can we get a Dave Bacon stream? Is that what they have at Wendy's? There's a bee in my house. Oh no. Admire so much. You're there reorganizing your kitchen. Seem to be handling retirement. Oh, okay, cool. All right, friends, let's get down to the bottom here. What else do we got? Oh my God, I'm so far behind. I'm so sorry. Whoa, with the $5. Colorado. Hi, it was in your interview with Clayton. Said the other guy slept with in May, lived in his complex, which I find creepy. He said that? Did I miss that? Oh my God. You got fired. From where? I got to go back up in the stream now. What's this one? Wonderful interview with Sleeve. Loving these discussions. Keep them coming. Thank you, Winks. God, you guys are so nice. My son was super preemie and only slightly bigger than a TV remote, but there was movement and other significant signs of a living baby. Certainly see involvement, but he is real. Low has to be one of the most vindictive people I've ever heard of. Yeah, when I was talking about this with my husband, he was just like, you have to remember, because I try to think about all of this, Wait, yes, he did. What did I miss? Yes, what did? Oh, that he said that. You guys have to remember, as soon as words leave my mouth, I forget what I say. A bee stung my dog. That's one of my favorite. My dog stepped on a bee. I just called Steve Sleeve. Sorry. Steve Sleeve. What was I going to say? I was going to say, we were talking about being vindictive. And, so when I was talking about this with my husband, my husband just says all the time, he's like, you have to remember that you're thinking of this from a logical standpoint. And I am. I don't know how you get yourself down this far. I am not smart enough to be a liar. I used to lie a lot when I was like in my teens because I didn't have any parents that paid attention to me and I wanted attention. So I used to lie, like super cool stories. And then people would be like, I think you're lying. And then I was like, and then I went the other way and I told too much truth and I have no tact. And then I had to learn about tact because people don't like it when you're overly honest with them because it hurts their feelings. So I have to try to learn somewhere in the middle. So there's that. Almost time to go to wine bar. Yeah. I have to leave here soon. You guys are the best. I have children. Let's see what Deanna Christine became a member. Yay for new members. Leanne became a 3-way call with bacon. And Jingris, girl. I would just sit here like this. I could never. So anyways, all right, you guys are the best. I'm going to go be a mom, I guess, to my kids. And my sister, we're also all going to thank my sister for babysitting today. Thank you, little ham. You were the best. You guys have really been awesome. And the fact that I've been able to have these experiences because of this community has truly been wonderful. And I'll say it till you're all annoyed. And I'll say it again and again and again. And I have been having the best time. And I have been enjoying myself. And, you know, I say it over and over again. But with this community, my heart is so full. And I'm just happy. I'm happy and I'm excited and it's all happening and we're here to witness it. And you guys are the best. No, don't go. I mean, I could probably stay for like 15 more minutes. You know, and that's the thing, right? Like I was telling my neighbors about this because some of my neighbors are older than me and most of my neighbors aren't like chronically online like I am with this. And you know, I was telling them, I'm like, the crazy thing is because when you think of the internet, right? Like you think of a cesspool of just like crazy people. But I was like, these people want to see creators succeed. They want to be a part of a group that does good. They want to see, you know, collaborations. And also with this group too, you know, these creators, I'm one of the smaller creators covering this case. And, you know, a lot of people, they don't care about how many creators you have. They don't care about the following that you have on whatever. And they're just so down to sit and talk and the community. I could not have fallen into a better rabbit hole. And it's amazing. And it's been, I was talking about this the other day and my channel is exploding right now. And I was telling my husband, I said, I thought that I would be excited and I am, but I also, I feel like I'm in, oh, thank you. I'll give it to Ham because I have to pay her for this one. I'm excited, but like I'm in disbelief, I think. Cause I open my laptop and I look at my numbers and I'm like, nah. And then I open it again and I'm like, like it's happening. No worries. Welcome to the dark side. So happy for you. Thank you. You're going to grow through. Will be interesting to see how many subs by trial. Good Lord. Thank you, Bacon. Just joined your channel and it's free for a month. Yay! Love that. Welcome in. Who am I interviewing tomorrow? Oh, okay. Let's talk about my schedule. So tomorrow, I think if you guys want me to, I will go live from like 8 to 11:30. My kids have early dismissal because of parent-teacher conferences, and then they are off Thursday and Friday. So I will be off Thursday and Friday. My husband's like, if you want to go live on the weekend, you can. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take some time because I have been streaming my ass off. And then Monday I hit the ground running. So, actually, okay. So here's also what I have to tell you guys as well. So the 5th. On the 5th, I'll be going live with True Crime and Wine. On the 6th, I'll be going live with Bruce. And then whoever I can find, I'm like a sniper in here. And then after that, so my kids will get out of school at the end of May. My son, because he's autistic, he will always be accepted into extended school year. So he'll always go through June. And one of my sister's, little Ham's friends was like, I could babysit for you if you want. And I'm like, well, I can only afford 3 days a week right now at her rate, which is she works another job. She's like, but I'll take off if you can pay what I would make at work. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I could do that right now. And so I could do Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 11 to 2:30, which is my typical thing, and keep it on until trial. If trial comes, I'm moving my mother-in-law, and I already told her. But I was like, I'll pay you and we'll do this so I can stay consistent, but I'll have to go down to 3 days a week until I get to the point that I could pay her for 5 days a week. So that'll be that. A little schedule changes, but it makes me really happy because I thought that my kids getting out of school, I wasn't going to be able to stream at all. And I was telling my husband, I'm like, how am I supposed to do this? And the kids are at home. I don't want to be streaming. And he's like, well, do you think you could stream while they're at home? And I'm like, no, I don't want their faces anywhere on the internet. You got lots of documents to read. Do some light reading, then come back and tell us your reaction. You and Megan will get along great. Yeah, I've talked to her. She's wonderful already. What time zone am I in? I'm Central. I am Central Time. So yeah, I shall be in bed. Yeah, I figured I would just come in and I would do the investigative report and just catch up on what we missed because we stopped at Jan's portion of the investigation. So I thought that I would do that tomorrow. I haven't emailed you yet, but I did tell you in the comments that we're going to talk. I told you I'm knocking up everybody in this case. You're next. So I told her. So I'm like, hey, listen, if this goes to trial, like this could be really big for my channel. And I'm like, you're moving in. You're moving in, Parapet. And then we're all having twins. Yeah, no kiddos online. I don't like it. Upvote and Echoes collab. Yeah, Echoes, what's your schedule? Tell me the schedule, Echoes. Knocking off or knocking up? Knocking up. Twins for everyone. Oh my God. Let's see. You're going to have a baby and you're going to have a baby. Oh yeah. And you're going to have a baby and you're going to have a baby. Oh, and then Flux. Flux. You're also on my list. Don't think you can get away from me. Don't think I don't see you. Let's go, Rosjan. I'm going to get them all. Oh, God. No, sir. Not for me. Oh, my God. But yeah, no, I just want to talk to everybody. I love talking to people. I'm a Gemini. That's all I want to do. I just want to talk. I'll talk to myself. And sometimes I do. So there's that. Flux is hilarious. Also, let's go. Yeah, guys, DM me. Weekend stream bribe. I could do that. My husband would let me do a Sunday. I say let me, like he's like, I'll let you out of your cage. For yeah, Big Tiff, you're also next. Let's go. You seem much smarter than me though, so. But yeah, I always talk to my husband and I'm like, can I do a live stream on Sunday? He's like, why are you asking me? Like, we just have to figure out what's going on with the kids. I could do a weekend stream if you guys want to do that. Also, I am going to have to do a birthday stream because my birthday's coming up soon, friends. I'm going to be so excited. Yes, I'm a Gemini with a Leo rising. So not only can I talk, but I need to be the star of the show. And then I'm an Aries moon and I'll fist fight you if I have to. So just have a big panel discussion. Oh my God. I always feel like I'm going to interrupt somebody. When are you going to interview Chase J. Jones? I think I have to catch him first. You know what I love? I love that everybody's making names. It's Echoes of Bacon, Tilted Bacon. What was the other one that you guys made up? It's so funny. We aren't going anywhere. No, because I'm pregnant now. So you're going to have to be here forever. And that's just going to have to be what it is. Ugh. Who's Nick? I don't know who Nick is. Lots of law nerds in here in EDB. EDB is going to be my end goal. I think if I can interview Emily D. Baker and tell her about this case. Wait a second. I just had a content dream. Could you imagine if I did a live stream with Emily D. Baker and she came into this stream blind and we read her some of the motions and some of the emails and I had to do a TLDR for this case and she had to learn it for the first time? That's my dream. I'm manifesting it right now. Okay. And Tiff Dog, yeah. You got to get a Vox set up with heavy vocal. Oh, God. Tiff is too smart. Once in a while. Okay. Weekend is best for me. All right. Looks like I'm doing a weekend stream with Echoes. Oh, boy. Oh, so is your daughter's June 11th. Holler for $1. I'll be streaming Clayton season soon for Fry and her friends. If anyone wants to join, I'll do that. I'd like to watch his season. I'm going to become Bacon Boots. I'm an investigator, but I have a Gemini moon, and I want to tell you all about it. Virgo rising. So things need to be organized. I see. Who is Nick? Somebody has to tell me Nick. Moose Bacon. Moose Bear. I think we're the Moose Bear. Bacon and Schnitzel is a heart attack. EDB is the final boss. Oh my God. Could you imagine? Refused to do this case because she had no time. Yeah, I could imagine. Dude, it's taken me 5 weeks and I'm still not in it. Yeah, she's way too busy. But imagine if we could do a 1-day stream. Just 1 day. And I explain it to her. It would be amazing. I think she would hop on this case. Yeah. I think her schedule though for like the rest of the year with cases is probably even if this went to trial, I don't know if she could fit it in. But it would be a dream. It is my dream. Dear diary, praise be to Dave and manifest a live stream between me and Emily D. Baker. And I get to tell her about this story. She knows of the case. I love it. We think she's left it for Runkle. I'll talk to Runkle too. He knows so much. Birthday stream. Hee hee. I know. She's just so busy. Let's see. Santa Laws. Kinstaro. Santa Laws. Who's that? How about doing something mystical with your psychic girlfriend? How about her giving me a tarot reading on the way my channel's going? Oh, June 11th was your mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. He's a law tuber. Oh, I don't know you're familiar with attorney Melanie, but she's planning on covering the trial. She definitely doesn't know all the deets. She's my favorite. Talk to her. Oh my God. If she got into this case, she would die. Emily D. Baker would just straight fire on this case. Really? He does? All right. I'll reach out to Runkle. I'd love to talk to him about this case. Who's Tug? Runkle too. Okay. I don't know all these people. All right, I'll write down Runkle. I'll email him right now. You know what? Is he on Instagram? How do I get a hold of that man? People have been trying to get her to do it. She's very busy. Well, and I'm sure she's probably got like contracts with sponsors and stuff. Is big on the low case? All right. Well, let's talk about that. Who's Tug? Who's Nick? There's so many people. Runkle loves doofus. Hell yeah. Tug the umbrella guy was famous on the Depp Heard trial. He's a lawyer? Tug? Why do I know this? Tug is hilarious. All right. Heard's lawyer mentioned Tug. Law and Lumber covered this case. And the only reason I've heard of them is because of Emily D. Baker. So there's that. MG Law. All right. You guys, listen. I need to write this down. Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me get a pen. Tug is BFF with Megan Fox. So he's the umbrella guy. He's the guy that doesn't show his face. He's got like the comic. I've seen some of their stuff. I haven't watched it, but I've seen the what is it? Thumbnails. I can't. Yes, that's him. Okay, so many people cover this case. Okay, so who am I writing down? Let's see. We have Echoes. We have Tiff. We have Flux. Me and Megan are already talking. I have also, too, I have some other things going on behind the scenes that I can't tell you about. All right, we have Tug that you guys want me to reach out to. We have Runkle. We have Nick Starro. All right, how do I get a hold of these people? Let's see, MG Law. Look at you guys. You guys are the best. MG Law. Robin. She follows me on Twitter now. Psychic. Yeah, I want to know what she sees for me. Let's go. Only if it's good. I don't want to know any bad stuff. Only the good stuff. Don't tell me any bad stuff. I like to figure that out for myself. Dave Neal. Right. All hail Dave. Dave Neal. Who else? Half of them probably watching this show. Oh, Schnitzel. Right. I do want to talk to Schnitzel. She's the one that started this all. Yes? Schnitzel. Twitter, email, and they're all on YouTube. The fact that YouTube doesn't have a direct messaging thing pisses me off so much. Who's Rosalind Duke? All right, let me put it down. I'll write it down. We're manifesting, friends. Rosalind Duke. I love that my new thing has become interviewing people. Oh, God. I love Robin, your psychic girlfriend. We all use the Twitters. Robin is great. True Crime and Wine. I will be live with them on the 5th via the internets. Oh, Lauren. Yes. I want to talk to Lauren. Liz Neptune. Yes, I've been getting a fact wrong. I said that Laura Owens hasn't gone after any women, and I guess Liz Neptune took it pretty bad. I would like to talk to her about that from what people have said in the chat. We need a ladies' tea party. That's right, because I'm a classy bitch. Let's see. Way behind. Laura gets no grace from me. Hell yeah. Stand firm. Yep. Stephanie, the podcast person. Yes. Oh, Rachel Juarez. I've already reached out to her. It might have gone in her spam. Let's see. I've never heard of True Crime and Wine, but love wine, so I'm here. Okay, I have Robin. I have Lauren. Liz N. And Rachel. I've reached out to Rachel. Also, I'm going to manifest over here, Michael Maricini, which I reached out to Michael on Threads. I'm too scared to ask him on Instagram because I don't want to be like, follow, hey. So I reached out to him on Threads, and I will not reach out to Greg, but I'm going to put it on my little list. I'm going to put it on my little list of manifestations. Greg Gillespie, Woodnick, Zaddy Woodnick, and Deandra. Greg, I won't reach out to at all, only because he stayed silent, and I want to respect that out of him. Megan truly does know all these people. Llama and Buffy are lovely. Would recommend True Crime and Wine Time. Yes. Reach out to Greg's wife. She's great. You know what? The fact that he's stayed quiet on this, I'm just going to, people will know I'm out of there. Or people will know I'm out here. I'm sure Mike, right, with getting an interview with Clayton, I'm sure Mike and, maybe they've seen the stuff. I don't want to go. I don't want to overstep my bounds. Right. And also too, like, I don't want, I have some ideas if I talk to Michael and to Greg, and I just don't want them to think that I'm trying to get them on so that I could monetize off the back of their trauma. That's not what I'm here for. Rich Lieberman. Who's that? He was on with Dave, wasn't he? Greg's funny. You two would have fun. Let's see. People will be leaving YouTube for Rumble too. Many streamers being demonetized or terminated. Interesting. I don't know anything about recap. Echoes, Tiff, Flux, Megan, Tug, Runkle, Nick, Robin, Schnitzel, Dave, Lauren, Liz, Stephanie, Rachel, Juarez. Yes, we have them all. I tried with him, but he's very long-winded. Let's see. Okay. All right. Scratching Rich off here. Okay. We're taking that off of the list. What the people want, the people get. Deep dive and find a former friend of Lo's interview. Just like her twins, I assume they are non-existent. So. Oh. He got weird and alive. Let's get weird, friends. Okay, so we have our list. Echoes, Tiff, Flux, Tug, Runkle, Nick, MG Law, Robin, Dave Neal, Schnitzel, Rosalind, Lauren, Liz Neptune, Rachel, Juarez, who I'll put a check mark next to her because I've already reached out to her. Michael Maricini, I've reached out to him. It's on Threads. I don't know if he's going to see it. Greg Gillespie, Zaddy, and Deandra. Oh, and Ducky. Yeah. They're all right. Ducky. Okay, listen, don't think I'm a creep, okay? But Ducky, I was at the dollar store with if she's in here, I was in the dollar store with my daughter the other day, and I came across this really cool, like, old Chinese art poster, art style poster, and it was like these beautiful waves with like a rubber duck on it. And I was like, oh my God, how weird would it be if I bought this? Because it was like $4 and sent it to her. And then I was like, no, that's okay. That's okay. This is called peer pressure. Is it? Is it? Yep. Big Tiff is here. I have her. Yep. Tiff, number 2, right next to Echoes. You know what? And just because I'll put true crime and wine so I can cross them off the list. And I'll put Bruce with 3 U's. Bruce. And then I can put Reality Steve and cross them out. Look at me knocking them off. And Clayton, which we did. Clayton. Omar. I have a feeling me and Omar will be back again. But I can cross him off the list. It's so funny. Yes. We got Big Tiff. I love being a target for new cult members. Let's fucking go. The Uber driver and the contractor. I've thought about reaching out to the contractor, but I have to look more into that case to see how I feel. Like, I definitely want to make sure that I know what side I stand on before I go into that. So, but yeah. All right, guys, I have to go. I have to feed my kids dinner, okay? Listen, they need to eat. Real children in the real world require sustenance. And the contractor, all right, Sean Rowanhorse. I love that I started out as making videos, and now I'm just like a live streamer. Oh, PS Creative. Look at their recent posts about Mike. Who? Yes, I have Big Tiff on here. She's right here. Tiff. Who's making bad posts about PS Creative? I believe her name is Leah. She's in the video that I made. I have to get them. I'm making drumsticks. Anyone in the horse world? Oh my God. Well, it looks like I'm going to be busy. Anyways, you guys are the best. I am so grateful for you all. I'll be live tomorrow morning. We'll talk about, we'll try to get through the investigative report. I got to figure out where I am on that. Other than that, you guys are amazing. I love you all very much. I would be nothing without you. And just remember,
all the best. See you guys later. Bye.